welcome the handful up there and full board here. Thank you for making an effort to get here, Ms. Powell. Just a word before we approve the agenda, have the pledge. We have to do the superintendent's evaluation by March the 1st, have it to him and everything. And so I did not want to see us, I did not want to see us going through a long day and then doing that at the end of the evening. I think we're all in a better, we're not worn out at the front end, so that's why I moved the hour up to 4 o'clock. I would like to force to do the Pledge of Allegiance over on the right. Mr. Martin, if you would lead us, please. Before we begin, Mr. Martin, are you aware that one of your veterans is going to get a diploma?
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not today.
Not today.
Yeah. That's why they're leaving.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One
one
nation,
nation, under God,
Indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with liberty and justice for all.
talking on the microphone.
Hey, I'm just making sure on the agenda today, under action items, we have a policy, board policy to be brought in, and then board superintendent's recommendations for personnel, just making sure that was correct. Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, a motion's been made by Ms. Power, seconded by Mr. Wright. Any amendments or motions to the agenda? Discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion opposed, nay. Motion passed unanimously. At this time, under West Virginia Code 6984, we need to go into executive session. Just the board to discuss the superintendent's evaluation. I don't believe we need any other updates. We have the booklet and the information. So I need a motion to go into executive session for personnel matter.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Long, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Power. Discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have to declare the motion adopted. We'll go across the hall for that meeting. We will be back by 4:45. If we're not, come over and get us, please. Thank you.
Huh?
We're now going to proceed with the calendar presentation.
Because that bulb's out. Right there. That's gonna be to you. See how.
There you go. Split the difference.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Stevens. This evening is the second public hearing for our proposed school calendar for the 2023-2024 school year. Just a few highlights again about our calendar. We did have a committee of approximately 16 individuals consisting of service personnel, principals, parents, community members, and we met and came up with 3 drafts. We actually voted for draft C, which is proposed and before us at this time. Just a few highlights about the calendar that's presented. August 14th would be the first day for staff. August 21st, first day for students. May 24th would be the last day for students. And May 28th would be our last day for staff. That is if we don't use any of the non-traditional instructional days. It is proposed in this as well due to the additional minutes we have added to each instructional day that we The first 5 snow days would be non-instructional, and then 6 through 10 would be remote if we get to that point. Very similar to this year's calendar. And the other thing that is an important part of this calendar, this was approved by, or we've been talking to the State Department when we developed this calendar, but something we added to this is, if this calendar is adopted, is that there are 3 prep days for teachers, which would mean they would be delay days. And we've strategically placed those 3 days where students would come in 2 hours late, and it would allow teachers time to prepare lessons, look at their assessments, and work on report cards. That's basically all I have again. And the next meeting in March, we will ask that you act upon that if there are no changes.
Thank you. We now, I believe we're supposed to allow public comment. Anyone wishing to address on just the issue of the calendar, please come forward and state your name. I see nobody, I think, are approaching the podium, so we will declare this public hearing closed. We're going to retreat again until 5 o'clock. I promise to be prompt. In executive session, we're discussing the superintendent's evaluation. And we have a deadline of the end of this month to have that presented. So we have to leave you all to your own entertainment while we go over to the other room and discuss the superintendent's entertainment. We already had the motion to go into executive session, so we'll just continue that. You folks who are presenting, you have 10 minutes to cram any last minute Irish pennants into your presentation. Okay, let's go, guys. Here in a minute. This board likes to ask questions. So make sure that you respect each other's time, because the person who's last may not get to speak if you all overextend your time. Who's keeping time here? Okay, your timekeeper is right here. And this board will ask questions and will cut you off if you go too long. And I don't want to do that, because all of you have worked hard this past year. This is your chance to strut and show your what you've been doing. But if you take too long, we're going to have to cut off the last people, and I don't want to do that to the people who are last on the program. So we're going to go down. You all, it's your show. At about 20 of 7, the board's going to come up and you're going to sit down and we're going to ask you questions. And I just want to emphasize, in our training as board members, we have to sit through training like you guys do. We are being told you have to find out why your academics are on a level you master it, and we're being part of the process as community officials to make sure that we improve academically in our communities as well as the state. So when we ask questions, it's not out of hatred. It's not to try to shame anyone. But we have an obligation to make sure, as the 5 board members here, and share that responsibility with you, to see that our children are educated and prepared for life, and not simply fed, babysat, whatever happens. We have to have accountability at all levels, and this board has been assigned that responsibility, and we share it with you. But we have to ask questions that sometimes people don't appreciate, but it's not out of malice towards you or anything else. It's out of the obligation we have to our community. So with that, we're going to begin. Thank you.
Well, good evening. On behalf of the city schools, I want to welcome you to Martinsburg High School and thank you for this opportunity to share with you guys a little bit about what we're doing in the city schools. I want to take this opportunity to thank my colleagues in the city schools for the things that they're doing for young people before they get to Martinsburg High School. Just want to remind everyone of the where city school students are coming from before they get to Martinsburg High School. You can see a graphic here of the schools that we're moving in and out of, and reminder that North Middle School sends students to 3 high schools. So some moving and shaking in the city schools. Also wanted to remind you from each of our city schools that the main focus, the goal is to get 1 year's growth from the students that we have in our building as measured by our summative assessment. So each person won't speak too much to that, as that is a main focus for all the city schools. So for Martinsburg High School, I want to start by introducing our LSIC chairperson, Nicole Sargent. And one of our LSIC members, Alexis May, who's a teacher and is taking her Velocity Dance team to nationals in Florida here in March. You want to flip to the next? LSIC focus for this year for us was communication with our stakeholders. So one of the things we talked about was there's a lot of things going on at Martinsburg High School, and sometimes everybody doesn't know all those things. So we started what's called the Barking Bulldog, where we're putting events that are happening for the week in that, and we're sending it out via social media, via In Touch, in that manner. Also, one of our other focuses is trying to get a parent volunteer program started where we can, teachers can say, hey, I need this help in my classroom. And then we have a coordinator who would talk to the parent volunteers and say, can you do these things? Next. Strategic plan for us, like everybody, we're using IXL, we're using College Board, we're using Khan. Obviously right now with the connectivity issues we're having right now, that we're not able to use those. But looking at IXL, we have seen appropriate growth. You know, we had 4 months in the first semester. We've seen 4 months or more in most of our classes as it pertains to growth. We have multiple opportunities for tutoring at Martinsburg High School, as also in the county that we can do some online tutoring. Mental health obviously is a struggle that we're all seeing. Our counselors are working with multiple outside agencies. Wait times are an issue in those areas. We also started this year a once a month health clinic here at Martinsburg High School where students can get help. From a behavior standpoint, less than 4% of our students have been suspended out of school. And one of the things I'm very proud of, and I give credit to our assistant principal, Mr. Sine, and our attendance worker, Latoya Parks, our chronic absence is down by 10% in the first semester from last year to this year. And it's a concentration on relationships with students. If you want to go. Our climate survey area to highlight is parents say both our students and staff are respectful to our individual differences. I think diversity is our strength at Martinsburg High School, and we play to that. Areas to consider: administrative support for teachers and maintaining student discipline. And we've done some professional development around that, asking teachers what that looks like and how we can assist them. And then just parent interest in student education. I think as they come to a high school, parents sometimes think they can be more hands-off. But in essence, we need them to be involved as well, more than just sports, obviously, because that's where parents seem to get really involved at the high school level. And then just spotlighting MHS, the positive things we're doing here at MHS is our students. That's where the positives are. And so I brought some of those students with me tonight to introduce to you. First one I'll introduce to you is James Astranis. Stand up there, James. James has a 4.5 GPA. He's a vice president of our student council, historian of science National Honor Society. He's the president of our social studies National Honor Society, president of Ecology Club. He's in the Gender and Equities Alliance, Multicultural Club. He's going to go to college and undergrad major in political science. That's James. Then we have Olivia Travis. She's got a 4.59 GPA. She's in the National Honor Society. She's the president, senior class secretary for student council. She's a member of Interact Club, Science National Honor Society, Velocity Dance, founder of the Prom Connection, which is an organization that has dressed over 150 underprivileged students for prom and homecoming, which we're very proud of her for that. Also spearheaded the first winter formal at Martinsburg High School that brought in over 2,000 for the American Cancer Society. She plans to graduate from WVU with degrees in criminology and psychology, and she aspires to attend medical school to become a psychiatrist, specializing in criminal psychiatry, and eventually work for the FBI's Behavior Analyst Unit. And then we have Kai Fagan. Kai has a 4.4 GPA. He's in the Science National Honor Society. He's on the football team in the Ecology Club. He's going to go to Shepherd and get a degree in biology, then go to WVU for dental school to become a dentist. So that's just a small subsection of the students we have here at Martinsburg High School. We often get a lot of notoriety for sports because those are the things that seem to make the paper, but we have such a myriad of talented students here in the arts, in sports, in the classroom, and we're very proud of that. So thank you. I believe we got North Middle School on recorded, but here's Katie.
Good evening, I'm Katie Miller. I am one
Good evening. It is my pleasure.
of now 3 assistant principals at North Middle School. I will be representing Mrs. Eiler as she cannot attend. She is at a mandatory conference this week. She is pre-recorded though, so we're going to play that for you now.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to share out information about Martinsburg North Middle School. I'm on my way to Stonewall Jackson to attend the required West Virginia School Leadership Network Conference. In attendance representing North Middle School tonight are Assistant Principal Catherine Miller, our LSIC President Krista Kiker, and our Parent Representative Amy Lopez. This year, the LSIC met and set a focus to improve parental involvement and increase past volunteers. Pictured here is a section from the weekly newsletter that highlights cool things happening at North Middle School. Our goal is to tell our story and highlight the academics, arts, and athletics that our amazing students are participating in. Also pictured are Pastor Nathaniel Wright with the Listeners Program and Brian Hairston with the Martinsburg Initiative. Both men are consistent weekly positive role models in our building. They listen to our students and provide a positive, trusted adult connection. The strategic plan focuses on all subgroups. We have 176 students receiving support in the special education program and 24 English language learners. The IXL is a formative assessment tool that is universal for all of our students who take the summative West Virginia General Summative Assessment. Teachers use the results to inform their instructional practice. Our Title I math and math interventionists work with small groups and individual students to scaffold the instruction and bridge the gaps in skills. Our Title I reading teachers are focused on improving vocabulary through weekly targeted instruction and assessment. Most recently, our math and reading teachers focused on unpacking the standards to determine the depth of knowledge and Bloom's level for standards most recently misunderstood by our students. We are very supported through the Department of Teaching and Learning through professional development and instructional mentors. Our school has clearly stated behavior expectations. We strive to speak with consistent language of the North Way. We reviewed the North Way: be safe, be respectful, be responsible in individual classroom settings. This worked well with explaining expectations in a small group setting. Our cell phone policy is off and away, along with no hoods, has shown great improvement in consistency from 6th through 8th grade. Ms. Scott joined our administrative staff this year. She organizes our admin lunch detentions. We've made it a focus to use restorative practices during that time with the administrator so the students can focus on improving their behavior to meet the expectations of the school. Our teachers use reteaching and parent contact with tail slips prior to the administrative lunch detention. Unfortunately, we have had several students with level 4 behaviors or persistent violation of the school rules, and they are now in transitional school. We do hope to see a decrease in the overall number of referrals and the number of students with 1 or more suspensions. The highlights from our climate and culture survey for the previous 2 years reflect that the staff exhibit pride in their school. Also, the staff wants students to be successful and reach
During our back-to-school meetings, our climate and culture needs areas were
their full potential. During our back-to-school meetings, our climate and culture needs areas were posted in the cafeteria.
Focus areas are parental involvement and
We
decreasing title discipline for the classroom teacher. Providing a weekly parent newsletter is one way that we keep
The overall focus areas, parental involvement,
Our Title I department
increasing time
provides
spent for the
focus with
teacher.
handouts and books at all
Providing
parent nights.
parent news is one way that we keep positive connections between home and school.
Our family and
Title
consumer science
I
teacher and
focus
students provided
Outs
treats
at all parent
and
nights.
conference nights. The teachers were also provided with a charcuterie
Family
box.
science
We have our third
students
community day.
provide a treat for the meat on the teachers were also
The highlights from our
provided
climate
with a
culture
charcuterie
survey
box.
for the
We
previous
plan to
year.
have our 3rd community day in April.
In this slide, our selfies with the super and our family and consumer science.
Highlights
students
from our
online.
culture survey for the
Featured are
previous
some
2
of the
years
family and consumer
reflect-
science students and the snacks provided to
and
parents
our-
and staff the night of
and our
conferences. Also, our mission statement
Teachers
logo
are
for
some
our
of the
staff
family
and
science students
teachers,
and
whatever it takes.
the provided
And our staff and
staff
service
item-
personnel awards finalist, Kari
Oh,
Mejia
and
from the
state-
school watch party.
from our Christmas t-shirts.
Our weekly newsletter.
Our staff
featuring the
person
ukulele and guitar in our
journalist
general music
Kari
class,
Mejias from the
and
school
other
watch party.
related to
From
a library
our weekly
lesson,
newsletter,
copyright
students
and
learning the
plagiarism,
ukulele and
former
guitar in our general music class
They say that
and
things
others
come
in a
easy,
Greece escape
that things that come easy aren't
copyright
necessarily
and
worth
plagiarism
having.
and
The struggle
reformer
is real to
resume.
bridge the gaps that were only increased by
They
COVID.
state
Particular studies have
that
shown
things
greater
that come
deficits
easy aren't
in low
necessarily worth
socioeconomic
having.
students
The struggle
and
is real
minorities.
to bridge the gaps that were
Teachers and
only
staff make it a concerted effort to provide the needs of the whole child so they have a
Most
equal
economic
opportunity to get a quality education
and groups.
that meets their
Our
social,
teachers
emotional,
and
health,
staff
and
make it a
academic needs.
concerted effort
Great
to
things are
provide
happening
the
at
whole
North
child
Middle School, and
to
we
have
are
an
so
equal
glad to be
opportunity
given
to
this
get a quality
opportunity to
education
share information
their
with you.
emotional health and academic needs. Great things are happening at North Middle School, and we are so glad to be given this opportunity to share information with you this evening.
Any chance that could be full screen? Okay. Good evening. I'm Mark Barney. I'm the principal of South Middle School. Grade 6 to 8, right across the street, we feed Martinsburg High School. I'd like to think of ourselves as a really good neighbor to Martinsburg High School, and they're a really good neighbor to us. You can go ahead and flip. So our focus this year, with me this evening, I have Lisa Boglin and Robin Truax, and I would like to give them an opportunity to discuss a project very briefly that we're working on. And that's the second part of our focus. So the first part of our focus is the fact that we're an ATS school. And we spoke to you folks last month about this, the action steps that we're taking as an ATS school. That's an additional targeted support school. it's something we're working on, something we'd like to change and not have that designation any longer. So the piece that we're focusing on there is taking data from the West Virginia General Summative Assessment, pulling out kids from the subgroup that are creating the situation where we are in ATS school, working with those kids, getting those kids in front of the right people in our building to work on those areas where they're deficient. There's gaps. So we're working that at a high level right now, getting the ball rolling on that process and hope that that ATS designation very soon goes away. The second piece, and I think it's really important, we talk about the academics, we talk about the attendance, we talk about the behavior, but involvement in our community is very important. And so a piece of what we're trying to work on is out front in our field with opportunities for our students to have a better chance to have recess, to have something to do at recess, and something for our community to use. So we've been working on a project to do a walking path out there around our field. So not to eliminate the field, to create a situation where the field can't be used any longer by other community groups, but to create something that people can come to, they can use it, even on a day where it's muddy. We got to stay on the blacktop when we go outside today. 300 kids on the blacktop gets tricky. We have that walking path. It's an opportunity for them to move away from that blacktop and maybe eliminate some of those behavior problems we run into when we're out there at lunch. I would like just briefly for Lisa Boglin and Robin Truax to speak to the project very briefly.
So as Mr. Barney said, I'm Lisa Boglin, and we saw a need. So at the beginning of the school year, I sent out an email and asked if anybody wanted to be involved. We created a committee, and our grant committee has received four grants. So our total project, if we just do gravel, is $22,000, and we have raised already $10,000 towards that goal. We hope to eventually blacktop it in years to come. We have 2 more grants that we have applied for and we haven't heard from yet. So if any of you are South Middle School alumni, feel free to write us a check and help out with that. And I'll let Robin talk a little bit.
Thank you. Very quickly, she did a really good job, and so did Mark. What I wanted to reiterate was what I did when I'm a retired teacher. And my whole goal was to bring the community into the schools and the schools to the community. And I just love this opportunity. You have a real gem across the street, by the way. And I'm sure you do here too, because I taught here. But anyway, it's a great program. We're going to have possibly outdoor classrooms eventually for the health for the community. We have a senior tower right behind us. So after school, they can come over and use it. We're going to have a sign made by Healthy Berkeley that's going to put up a sign that says what the length of the track is and when the public is invited to come in and use it. And I've been so wonderful. Let me just say we're probably running out of time, but as a retired teacher, I'm working with 2 people that I taught when they were in middle school. And that, for those of you still teaching, that is it. That is it. And Lisa being a former colleague of mine. So thank you. And again, make the checks to South Middle with a memo to the track. Thank you.
Strategic plan, focus, and action steps. Academics, we have a math and reading goal. We'd like to see a 10% increase on the West Virginia General Summative Assessment. And again, if we're working towards that through the situation we're in with being an ATS school. So working on those goals as an ATS school could help enhance this goal that's in our strategic plan. Behavior, the goal is to reduce the number of infractions that result in OSS by 3%. And when I say reduce the number of infractions that result in OSS, that doesn't mean we don't suspend kids. We do suspend kids, but we try to work to target where things are happening that shouldn't be happening. We try to find those spots, and we try to get people in those spots to try to cut down on the number of infractions that result in OSS. And mostly that becomes a situation when we're outside at lunch on the playground. We want kids to have an opportunity to have recess, and we do it. But getting more people out there to supervise, and we've done a better job with it this year and had less situations where we've had those type of infractions. And attendance, we work through our spotlight assembly. We incentivize attendance. We highlight attendance. We acknowledge the students who are attending regularly, and we work to try to incentivize those that are not necessarily attending as they should. Our climate survey, that's a picture of us out there on the blacktop at the beginning of the school year. That's a high character group of people. a high character group of people who want to do the right thing. And I'm honored to work with such a high quality group of people at South Middle School. Very proud of the work that we put in. So it pains me to talk about us being an ATS school when I know the quality of work that goes on in that building every day is that it's at a very high level with the people that we have in place. So climate survey, the highlights, open communication, there's mutual trust, there's respect among the staff. I think staff morale as a whole has been very good. Pretty much the same network of people have come through COVID all together. And if that doesn't bring a group of people together, I don't know what can. Maybe an internet outage. I don't know. Areas to consider: the amount of time that we spend on discipline, which are some of those things we're trying to work on in our discipline goal. We do, as administrators, end up spending a lot of time on discipline infractions, and trying to work that down and trying to get to a point where classroom teachers don't have to spend so much time. We take that burden from them. And then increasing parental involvement. We are a Title I school. We do family engagement nights. We'd like to see those numbers come up. Couple things to highlight here. Our robotics team, last year they went to a national competition. They're well on track to do that again. Our basketball programs have been wildly successful, and even when they don't win, it's enjoyable. Our kids like to come out and watch their peers play basketball. And the one there on the right, I think is really important. We implemented this year, and I say we loosely. Leah Heights here in the crowd. She's one of our assistant principals. She gets the job done. She gets things done at a very high level. We use A-Day. So students get A's, they earn A's, and then they have an opportunity to cash in those A's for specific things. And every 9 weeks, it's different. And we sit there and rattle our brains about, well, what can we do this 9 weeks for them that's not a repeat of last 9 weeks? And so that last picture down there, that's A-Day cash in. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Joyce Ashworth. I'm acting principal of Eagle School Intermediate, and it's a pleasure to serve in that role. Joining us today from our LSIC Council, we have bus driver George Beal and special education teacher Sarah Duvall. As many of you know, Eagle School's in the process of rebuilding their administrative team, and joining me today is Stacy Hammond, our assistant principal over special education, and depending tonight's board meeting, Joy Woofter, who is joining us as interim assistant principal. Okay, there you go. So our LSIC focus for Eagle School is to create an atmosphere where students, teachers, and staff, as well as community members, can grow socially, emotionally, and academically. As some people before me mentioned, it's all about relationships. We need to have that relationship built so students will want to come to school, so that parents will want to send their children to school, and that children would like to learn. We provide support to students in a variety of ways. We're fortunate enough to have a large counselor and social worker pool that can do lunch groups, maybe for students who have difficulty making friends. We have student success groups and anger groups, even executive functioning skills groups where students are able to use social stories to learn how to engage appropriately with others. It's important that we support our new teachers. Eagle School has a high teacher mobility rate. So we are happy to be able to support our teachers with an academic coach who is available to support their learning, as well as a technology integration specialist. We like to create a campus that is safe. You'll see later that is some of our concerns. Safety for us begins in the morning. This year, we've worked hard to help our parents understand that the bus circle is for buses only. We have a large percentage of students who come to school on the bus, and it's important that we keep parent vehicles out of that bus loop so that we can have children come off of the bus and then at the end of the day get on the bus. We're also receptive to parent feedback for safety. And one of the things Ms. Hammond has worked on this year is refining how parent pickup works, and as well as student drop off. We also have a presence in the hallway. We also want to promote student engagement and learning. As we come out of COVID, we're up against this idea that students were learning from home. And when you're learning at home and you're only yourself or maybe a few of your siblings there, that whole idea of collaborative learning, talking about your thinking, is an art that seems to have been lost. And we're working hard on that. And we're happy to say that we've opened our doors to the community at Eagle School, as we have invited Parks and Rec in for Taekwondo on Saturdays. We have Zumba for adults on Mondays and Wednesdays, as well as opening up our space for people who need to have meetings. For the strategic plan, like everyone else, we're hoping to show 1 year's worth of growth in all of our students, as well as trying to increase our percentage proficiency. That academic coach and technology integration specialists are essential to that role because of the number of new teachers that we have in our building. They need to have support. It takes a village to raise a teacher, and we know that teachers need support from just 1 or 2 people. We hold monthly data team meetings where we're looking at data as a tool, not to just say, hey, we looked at it, check, but to make informed decision making. And also our team planning is important to us because those new teachers need to see what expert teachers are doing when they are planning for instruction. From a behavior standpoint, we are focusing on the positive. Both Mrs. Hammond and myself come from a PBIS school environment where we want kids to notice, to see that we notice them. So we have been working on SHINE. We can be safe, helpful, inclusive, nice, and eager. It's our school-wide expectation, and we use SHINE to reinforce behavior throughout our building. We instituted the All-Star Cafe, where students can sit at lunchtime across from students from other classrooms so that they're able to have those conversations rather than just sitting next to somebody in their classroom every day. Our student support team took SHINE a little bit further, and they created the Rise and Shine Breakfast, where once a month we are looking at those student characteristics that lead to good citizenship. Our first event was for respect, and parents were excited to come in for our breakfast. This month, we're looking at responsibility. We're also happy to say that this year we are going to become a Jostens Renaissance School, and we are going to join that platform to help motivate staff and students alike. When it comes to attendance, I'm happy to say that each month our attendance improves a little bit more than it did over the year before. Both our average daily attendance has increased and our chronic absence rate has decreased. Part of that is because of building those relationships so students want to come to school. It's also important that we use our S'mores Weekly Shine newsletter so parents know what's happening in our school, what happened last week and what is happening this week. And we're also having quarterly assemblies to support student participation in positive behaviors. When it comes to our climate survey at ESI, I was happy to see that last year's survey showed that students report that this school is a place for learning. Our staff believes that we communicate that all children can learn, and parents report that our school wants our students to reach their fullest potential. With that being said, we have to pay attention to those areas of concerns. Our parents want to come into our schools more frequently, and that's something that we're looking at with our different SHINE events. And student capacity to feel safe at our schools is important. That is something that just cannot be fixed overnight, but we use our resources wisely. We use a behavior infraction system that is consistent throughout the building in order to have our students understand we are consistent with our expectation. And finally, I'm going to stop at our stoplight at Eagle School. The Shine initiative is pervasive. It's everywhere at Eagle. We have a lot of hands-on learning at Eagle School, and it's been good to see not only kids doing hands-on work in science, but they're also participating in watershed activities in our market day. And finally, the ESI band and chorus. That has been an area to shine for Eagle. Through our band director, Matt Blom, he has been able to increase participation in our band. He's able to have kids that come in early, several days a week, that stay late. They are eager to hone their musical skills for the future. And also, I have the Shine postcard there in the middle. We decided that it's not enough to just send a newsletter. We're also sending home good news postcards to our parents. So thank you for your support of Eagle School Intermediate.
I'll tell you what, I have some hard acts to follow. We've got a great community here in Martinsburg, and I appreciate our feeder schools, our middle schools, our high schools, and together we can achieve. I want to thank our senior board and board members for their attendance here. Kai Fagan, I remember you. I see you. My wife's a dentist, so you have an opportunity here in Martinsburg. I couldn't help but say that. Hey, I'd like to introduce Christina Chappell. She's a 4th grade teacher at Orchard View Intermediate. She's a 1st-year teacher at Orchard View Intermediate, but I've just been really impressed with just how she has acclimated to our building, brought fresh ideas. She's a member of our ATS CIS team, and she just brings a breath of fresh air. So thank you, Christina. I invited William Jenkins. He said he might not be able to make it, or it might be a little late, which I'm super disappointed about because he's a really awesome parent and a great friend that I've made this year. Outstanding student at our school as a 4th grader, and has just made great gains. So thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I know this is an annual opportunity for each of our schools to present what we're doing in our building, and thank you again for being here and allowing me this opportunity. I listed here as our LSIC focus, remain accountable for the learning and achievement of every student. And I'll stop there and let you read the rest. But I truly mean that. The achievement of every student. All right. That's every subgroup. We are accountable for every child that walks through our building. And I'm a member of the community, and I feel very strongly about that fact. So I really put forth great effort. Our team puts forth great effort to truly embody that. It's not just a message or a theme, but we really try to act upon that on each and every day. Next slide. Again, not to echo previous statements, but our focus is to grow 1 year or more for each academic area. That especially includes reading and math. Also science for our 5th grade. That's a summative assessment that's also tested at our grade level. We have a number of ways that we're doing that. Again, we're contracting with Education Solutions. So we're a transparent building. We are inviting, outside agencies to come in and, simply give an objective look. It's been a few years of non-traditional education. And so as a team, we thought, hey, let's bring someone in from the outside, not Orchard View, not Berkeley County, just to give us, some feedback on the great things that we're doing, but also areas that we can always grow upon. So that's a key component to Orchard View Intermediate and our overall strategic plan. We're looking for rigorous instruction, and we're always open to outside, perspectives to provide that additional support. With that, we're also looking at phonics. Orton Gillingham which is a reading component that would certainly provide support for our students that need a little extra intervention that are coming to us below grade level. And we can help build those foundational skills to move them forward so that they are not just ready for the next grade level, but when they move on to primarily South Middle or North Middle. We also invited one of our math specialists, and she just does a fantastic job, Dottie Pinnell. She has worked at our school previously, and has just provided great feedback. Again, just having that transparency and opening up the opportunity to hear just genuine feedback on what strengths we have. Our staff, we work extremely hard. One of the things we've talked about this year is, hey, are we working hard in the right areas? I know our staff, they go home tired every single day. And, today was one of those opportunities where we had professional development. And, I believe our, the focus on writing today gave a lot of our staff an opportunity to think, collaborate, share, and then come back tomorrow ready to implement strategies that will really make a big difference. As far as behavior goes, we're always looking to reduce the number of out-of-school suspensions. So, we want to hold students accountable. They have to be. This has to be a safe place. We have to treat each other with mutual respect. However, we want to be sure that our discipline or interventions are making a difference. It's not black and white. We operate in a lot of gray area, and it's not a one size fits all. We really have to take a look at the student, the circumstances, and it takes time. And that's what I do, and our teachers do. We take a look at each individual circumstance and really just put in the effort to find out, hey, what is leading to that problem behavior, and let's fix it. Let's fix it. Just out of school suspension without that reteachable opportunity, it's not going to be effective. We need to have kids in our building, and I know we are putting forth those efforts, which leads us to attendance. We need our students in the building. If we're going to make a difference academically, behaviorally, and socially, we have to have them in the building, and that ties directly into discipline. I'm so proud, and I'll name drop Whitney Rinker. She's one of our communities. She is our community and schools coordinator. She works with a team that includes our school counselors, our attendance secretary, and every single teacher, every single person in the building, because what she does and what our team and whole school does is identify attendance issues, break down those barriers that's leading a student to have excessive absences, and building that bridge between home and school. As a result, the most recent attendance results that Orchard View and the county had was, and I've been at Orchard View 8 years now. This is my 8th year, and this is the first time where we've either been tied for first or first for intermediate schools with the average daily attendance. And I'm so proud of that. Just can't say enough about our team that's led to those results and hopeful continued results. The Mario Kart attendance race competition was a huge part in that. And so basically every class has a competition to move their Mario Kart like emoji forward for their overall attendance rate daily. So I really do believe that's had a huge contribution in our improved attendance. The kids really love it. The staff love it. It's encouraging and competitive in a really healthy way. Climate survey. Hey, I'm approachable, so come on up, everybody. Now, listen, really, honestly, that is a huge highlight I value greatly. Is my door is literally almost always open. I provide my cell phone number on my class dojo, which many staff members said, hey, don't do that. But honestly, we just really need to be able to give our community the opportunity to reach out when necessary, and people don't abuse that. So I won't apologize. Principal and teachers make parents feel welcome at the school. If you ever come by Orchard View Intermediate, I think you will just feel the vibes. And I get that from a lot of visitors, whether it's maintenance crew or parents, they just say, hey, this is a really good building. And, it's interesting to ask them questions as to, what draws them to that conclusion, but there's just positive vibes. Areas to consider: ongoing effective staff development. I can't take credit for this. I think the county's done a wonderful job of, listening and providing guidance in what we can provide to our staff that is effective, ongoing professional development. Hopefully today at Orchard View Intermediate, that was the case. We had a focus on writing and just having kind of a uniform approach to good practices that will improve our students' writing. Another area to consider is parent involvement. Oh my gosh, we had such a packed house just a few weeks ago for our reintroduction of the Watchdogs program. If you're not familiar with that, that's the dads of great students. It's really male role models, period. And we had, I didn't do a count, we had to have had over 300 people there. I mean, we had just enough, it was 60 large pizzas from Domino's that just, flew off the boxes. And as a result, we've had a lot of increased parent involvement in the building. So that was a really beautiful thing. It made me anxious, but we were able to feed everyone. I encourage everyone to eat their crust. Don't throw it away. We just had enough. Spotlight, Orchard View Intermediate. I just have pictures here. We have a number of extracurricular clubs that we've had through the fall and will be reintroducing in the spring. What sets Orchard View and all of our public schools apart from other possible educational avenues, I really, truly, and strongly believe it's the extracurricular opportunities. We have built so many additional connections between grade levels, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, and different activities that just really resonate with our students, whether it be theater club, running club, drawing. There are just so many opportunities that we have, and it's hard because we have such a large population, and so sometimes there's a cutoff point. But our running club, we had over 100 runners this past fall. I've had kids asking me all winter about when we're going to start it in the spring, and I am sure that we're going to have just as great of a turnout. So I feel like we're hitting all of our marks, and we expect to see the results. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Melissa Galladay. I'm principal at Berkeley Heights Elementary School. This evening, we have with us Whitney Jones, who is a PTA treasurer and also a parent of our 2nd grader. And we have Alexis May, who is a PTA member and a parent of a kindergartner at our school. And some of our other members of LSIC, unfortunately, were not feeling well this evening. So being new to Berkeley Heights and recovering our education post-COVID, we had several areas of need that determined our LSIC focus. This year, our school focused on 4 C's: consistency, communication, collaboration, and community. As of today, 2023, we have an enrollment of 437 students K-2 and 39 pre-K students in our building. We have 147 in kindergarten, 160 in 1st grade, and 130 in 2nd grade. One of the things I like to do is I like to look at random data. It's just something that I find interesting. And one of the things we have been discussing previously was that we were having some struggles in 1st grade, making the gains daily. Now, they've done wonderfully on their NSGRA and their STAR math. We've actually seen huge gains, but on the daily average, they just seem to have more struggles getting the concepts each day. One of the interesting things we found out looking at our enrollment data is that our current enrollment are pretty equal with our female and male populations in kindergarten and 2nd grade. They are about 5 to 10 more students female than male in those 2 grade levels. In 1st grade, it is very different. We have 57 females and 103 males. So one of the things we're really looking at the end of this year is our effectiveness at teaching young men. So that's going to be something that we focus on really, really well with our second grade team next year, is how to make sure we're reaching our young male population, because that is definitely where we need to put some attention for our students next year as they leave Berkeley Heights before they become Orchard View students. Our focus here at Berkeley Heights, I know I have a lot on our slides. I couldn't cut things, but you can read the slides. I'm not going to mention everything. You'll see various ways that we've brought our community into the building. We've involved families in our after-school events, and we've brought back our PTA. We have partnered with various local organizations and churches to support our students in school. We have received grants for robotics, which is actually the same competition that South mentioned. We are starting the same team at Berkeley Heights, and those materials were received at the end of January, and the first team just met in the beginning of February for that robotics team. We also have received grants for an adapted playground music and game panels, so students in wheelchairs can still actively play without having to leave their wheelchair. And we have received a grant from the United Way for a clothing room at Berkeley Heights. We have worked to increase our building safety and have a brand new roof that we are extremely grateful for. We have trained our students to support behavior practices and centered our teacher professional development around developing classroom management strategies. All right, our strategic plan action steps included co-teaching, rigor, and consistent training and grade level collaboration. This slide shows all of our academic, behavior, and attendance steps that we have taken this school year. I'd like to highlight just a few of those items. One of the things that you will see is that we really worked hard to have a good mix of intervention and enrichment activities to support both our students working below and above grade levels. So we have had our grade level STEM nights. We have had kindergarten and first grade is due to happen in the end of March. There are STEM literacy evenings. We also have after school in-person and virtual tutoring with Title I and with grade level teachers. We have Lego Club, Yoga Club, and book clubs. We also have robotics, and we have focused our social emotional learning with our Oveus lessons, weekly Air Guard read alouds, PBIS, and our guidance lessons. Our new staff have worked with our part-time academic coach and been trained on Haggerty, Secret Stories, which for our phonics, and BCS reading and math models. Our Title I team has regular meetings with administration to inform our actions and guide our resources to best meet the needs of our students. We really concentrated on early intervention for our kindergarten students this year, and the data we have thus far with our Scholastic NSGRA shows that this has benefited our students and will set them up for greater success moving forward. Our climate survey highlighted our needs post-COVID. This survey showed that our staff exhibit pride in our school and feel that all children can learn, while our parents do feel welcomed. Our areas to consider were increasing parent information and communication, parental involvement, and decreasing time teachers spent on behaviors. To address the areas of concern, we send out a weekly parent newsletter, keeping our community informed and aware of activities, important dates, menus, pictures, and more. We also communicate via Seesaw and Class Dojo. We send out a 2-page staff newsletter weekly to assist our teachers with organization and planning. Our kindergarten team has had an after-school night where the standards and ELRS report were explained to parents so that they could better assist their students with their learning needs as they've entered school. At the beginning of the year, we had stations where students were taught school-wide behaviors and procedures, including cafeteria, playground, hallway, restroom, and bus. Our entire school rotated through the stations over the course of a day and even loaded onto a bus where our bus driver actually helped us learn appropriate behaviors for transportation. We have communicated our expectations with our printed PBIS brochure that went home after our school finished rotations. We partnered with our county AIMS to present professional development regarding classroom management and set up a discipline matrix with common behaviors and interventions that could possibly assist when a student exhibits that behavior. The matrix also explains when the behavior warrants assistance from counselors and administration. Our highlight slide shows pictures of some of our activities and projects we have done this year as we have grown our school community and supported our students. Thank you very much for supporting Berkeley Heights Elementary.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Todd Cutlip and I'm the principal at Burke Street Elementary. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. With me, I have LSIC member and guidance counselor Teresa Weller back there, and LSIC member and parent Brianne Hoover. Brianne's back there. Brianne's son Connor's in the first grade and did bring me a very nice Valentine's Day treat. So make sure I thanked him for that. Our LSIC focus this year was attendance. Attendance has been problematic at Burke Street Elementary, and I know Teresa's Miss Weller has pulled her hair out over attendance. Obviously, the kids can't learn if they're not there. So some of the things that we have focused on and have tried this year have been attendance clubs, monthly attendance challenge in each classroom, individual student incentives and rewards. And we have seen progress. So this year our attendance rate is up and our chronic absenteeism is down. So we're heading in the right direction, and we'll continue to work on that as we go along. Strategic plan is a working document at Burke Street Elementary. We meet monthly with our leadership team, discuss strategies and action steps, and if they're being effective. If they're not, we remove them and try to replace them with more effective strategies and action steps. So you can see some of the things that we are focusing on currently: fidelity to core instruction, the Berkeley County Schools literacy model, guided math, student engagement is a big one for us, math, numeracy, and operations, school operations, a safe and orderly environment, which I don't know, February seemed to be crazy. So our safe and orderly environment's kind of not been as good as what we wanted in the month of February, but we're working to get it back starting tomorrow. And financial operations. Our climate survey, areas to highlight are the teachers. And this is from the students. My teachers expect me to get good grades. That was 100% of our students said that. So again, that goes back to high expectations for our students. The teachers expect the best out of them. Actually, on our cafeteria wall, and it says we have a little saying up there. It says, "Out of all the students in the world, how is it that Burke Street Elementary got the best ones?" And secondly, the students said they feel safe when they're at school. That was 89% of them. So I'd like to see 100%, but we continue to focus on the kids feeling safe and comfortable at school, and comfortable with the staff and the teachers there. And one of our areas to consider is the student said, "Usually I know how well I am doing in school," and that was only 64%. So that we need to do better at that. We definitely want students to know how they're doing. And the spotlight, I did something a little bit different. We decided to spotlight what we believe is important to being a successful school, not just one program. So individual student achievement and growth, high staff morale and cohesiveness. Obviously, we look at our West Virginia General Summative Assessment results. We have high expectations for all staff and students, and we have excellent community support and business partners. And Teresa Weller is a guru when it comes to community resources. If there's a problem, she knows where to find help and assistance. She does. So we are very, very fortunate to have her. And that is all I have for you this evening. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Krista Ematrudo, the principal at Opequon. With me this evening, I have 4 people who are awesome and amazing. John Carper, our technology integration specialist, Dottie Pinnell, our instructional coach, Houston Johnson, our reading specialist, parent, and LSIC chairperson, and Mr. George Bell, bus driver and LSIC member. So our LSIC focus, since I have been at Opequon, has been to improve our building and our school grounds. I don't want to give away too many of my secrets. I heard Mr. Barney's looking for some money, but we were able to fundraise close to $20,000 last year in about 3 months. And with that, we installed $41,000 worth of new playground equipment. So that is something that we were very proud of. Pictured, you will see CMA Toyota of Martinsburg, who gave us a pretty generous donation. And our community has been instrumental in helping us to, see those goals come to fruition. The maintenance department, specifically Mr. Burton, have been outstanding in terms of doing walkthroughs, looking at things and making sure that we have quotes and things put in to get things upgraded. So we definitely appreciate all the support that we've had from maintenance as well. One of the things that we are also proud of is the fact that we have planted 41 trees in the last 2 years, with 16 more planned for this year, which is, close to 60 trees new on our Opequon campus. And Mr. Johnson, who has led that initiative, is super just invested in that community and making sure that our school grounds are a place that look nice for kids for years to come. We've also been fortunate enough to upgrade technology in our classrooms, security systems, and one of the things that I am proud of is the safety of our building, and that's something that we will highlight when we get to our school climate survey. But we have spent a lot of time just talking about ways to make Opequon warm and inviting for kids and staff as well. So looking at our strategic plan action steps, our theme this year was onward and upward. We talked about this at our opening meeting. It's easy to get stuck on, the pandemic and learning loss. But I'm the kind of person that if you show me data and it's not what I like, we're going to make a plan and we're not going to make excuses. And that is something that we have talked about tremendously this year, with making sure that we are moving onward and upward and doing what's best for students. So some of the things that we have focused on this year in terms of academics were, we noticed that there's a lot of deficiencies in our students in reading due to a lack of explicit phonics instruction. So that is something that we have spent a lot of time on implementing school-wide, and we have seen tremendous growth with our reading benchmarks due to the implementation of several phonics and phonemic awareness programs. We are also proud of the co-teaching that we are doing at Opequon. We have writers' workshop happening in our classrooms with the use of our interventionists and reading specialists, and also with our coach and our TIS. We also do weekly strategic planning meetings with each team, where we talk about the successes and the challenges with each classroom teacher and ways that administration can support them. There has also been a renewed data team focus, where we are using the data to not only drive our instruction, but to focus on daily interactions with students and how we can make sure that what we are putting in front of them is what's best for their development. In terms of behavior, we are piloting a program called Capturing Kids' Hearts, which is a social emotional learning program. We require our staff to have morning meetings to set expectations and check in with students every single day. They greet them at the door. Each class has a social contract, and it has really helped to create self-managing classrooms in our building and help students to understand that there are expectations and we are going to hold them accountable for their choices. You'll see a couple of the classroom contracts pictured in this slide. We also have our Opequon Cares initiative, where students can earn CARES bucks, and we have a cart that comes around and they can purchase things with the bucks that they have earned through good behavior. For attendance, we are using the Zuzingo program. Our school counselor interventions and groups have also been successful. As of the beginning of February, our daily attendance rate was 92.91%. So we definitely were excited about that, because it is an increase from last year's attendance rate. I'm also very proud of the work that we are being done, because our winter benchmark data was tremendous. As of February, 81% of our first graders are at or above benchmark in math, and 63% are at or above benchmark for second grade math. And our reading scores have been, there has been a large increase there as well. So looking at our climate survey, I do hold stock in these results, but it certainly doesn't define us. I survey my staff throughout the year as well. We just wrapped up a winter motivation survey where I asked them, how can I help you be successful to get through the next couple of months? Because it was a long time to spring break. But the biggest area that I'm proud of, aside from school safety, is an ongoing effective staff development program based on teachers' needs. We help our teachers when they have an issue. I mean, that's pretty much, we do everything we can to support them and coach them. And if there's something they don't feel comfortable with, I have a tremendous team of interventionists with our coach and our TIS who work to put professional development together that is based on our teachers' needs. So that is something that I'm very excited to see as an area to highlight. Parent involvement is an area to consider that I think we're all working on. And the first bullet point of teachers treating all students fairly and consistently honestly was a shock to me to see that, but that is something that we have been mindful of and discuss in our meetings as a staff. And then lastly, I would like to highlight Dottie Pinnell and John Carper, our coach and our TIS. The impact that both of these positions have had in our building is tremendous. And it's not just the position, it's the people in those positions. Between the two of them, I can't tell you how amazed I am just to see the things that they come up with together. They are also referred to as Team Jotty, since they are always together, co-teaching. But I did ask both of them to share something that they felt was important in terms of their impact with our staff. And John said that being able to provide personalized and relevant professional development to stay current with best practices was something that he was really proud of. And Dottie said that focusing on rigor and student thinking while unpacking standards in order to support teachers and students was one of her key points as well. I also would just like to highlight that even though we don't have internet right now, it doesn't mean we are not using technology. John did a great job today showing our teachers some examples of things that they can do with iPads that do not require the network. And they focused on formative assessments and utilizing Keynote as a whiteboard. So pictured, you will just see some of the staff development things that they've done with our teachers. We always have high participation rates with both of them when they are offering staff development, and we see those practices implemented in the classrooms. So I'm very proud of the work that's being done at Opequon, and I always say we have the best staff in the county, and I'm going to stick to that. So next up is Ms. Props for Rosemont Elementary.
Of course, I'm going to disagree with her, and I think that Rosemont has the best staff, but Good evening, Mr. Stevens, Mr. Murphy, and board members. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share some information about Rosemont Elementary, where I have had the privilege of being the principal for 11 years. And I see a lot of familiar faces in the crowd as students have moved on and parents have moved on, and it's always good to see that. With me this evening, I have two of our LSIC members, Ms. Hampton, one of our school counselors, and Mrs. Mann, our PTA president, who currently has 2 students at Rosemont, and she's also a substitute for Berkeley County Schools, substitute teacher. Okay. Each year, our LSIC focuses on school safety for all students, staff, and families. Our emergency plans are shared with our LSIC and discussed. We do a safety walk multiple times a year during our meetings to discuss potential areas that need addressed to make our school even safer. It is exciting and much appreciated that the school bond passed, ensuring that we get a safe entrance for our building. This is something I have requested each year, and I'm happy to say that will soon happen. Student well-being is a major part of Rosemont Elementary. We not only focus on academic learning, but also social emotional learning. And you've heard this echoed multiple times. Building relationships with students is key to their academic success. Each morning, our staff greets students and begins the day with a morning meeting, setting the tone for the day. These are important routines to establish. We are a PBIS school, and we have school-wide expectations for student behaviors. We consistently remind students of the Rosemont way. Students can earn Rosemont bucks for positive behaviors as well as for showing responsibility and kindness. They can use their Rosemont bucks to shop at a store that I set up in my office with various school supplies and seasonal items. They love coming to shop, and I'll tell you, it's a real highlight for me to have that one-on-one time with each student. We keep academic achievement in the forefront and discuss this at our quarterly LSIC meetings. Student academic progress is shared with our LSIC, and strategies we use to help students are discussed. I will speak more about that in just a minute. Our biggest focus as an LSIC, though, is on growing our playground and developing unique spaces that promote inclusive and creative play. Our playground is very heavily used, not only by our students, but by our community in the evenings, weekends, during the summer. This year, we received a brand new pod of 4 classrooms as an upgrade to our current portable classrooms. But with this construction, some of our playground equipment had to be relocated and a few pieces had to be retired for safety reasons. So we are beginning our fundraising to receive money for new playground equipment. And we want to design some outdoor creative play spaces like a musical space, a kitchen, and some pavement games. We are recruiting assistants like everybody else from area businesses as well as New Life Church. They have adopted us. They do outreach for our schools in Berkeley County for Mobilize 2023, and we are fortunate to be the recipients of that on April 29th. So any volunteers who want to come and help, they do all kinds of beautification projects and indoor and outdoor. Play is so important for young children, so that has been our real focus. Okay, with our strategic plan, it's collectively written and monitored. Staff and community input is utilized to create action steps to help students achieve. And you will see that our strategic plan action steps are also closely aligned with the focus of our LSIC. Concerning some of our academics, some of our action steps completed include that we've made more than a half a year progress in student growth for both reading and math. Students are working hard to become proficient readers and mathematicians. Our teachers and staff are working together to fully understand the content standards for each grade level and how to best instruct these standards with rigor. Our academic coach worked to strengthen phonics instruction as well as writing instruction. And Mrs. Darlington is our academic coach. She worked closely with teachers and completed several mini coaching cycles before her maternity leave began at the end of December. She gave teachers resources to use for the remainder of the year. She sat down, she thought about maybe what they would need in the spring and worked with them to create those resources. Our TIS also shares activities and ideas with our staff to keep technology at the forefront. And as with Jotty, Ms. Kamlowski and Mrs. Darlington worked very closely together. With student behavior, of course, admin, school counselors, social worker, and all other staff work daily with students on positive behaviors and expectations. We have seen a significant drop in major behavior referrals as things have returned to normal since COVID. So that has been good. I think students are getting back into good routines and understanding structure for school. For attendance, as with everyone else, we are working on concerns and working with families. Those are kind of the main ways we handle attendance concerns. We encourage good attendance for all students by trying to make school the best place we can. We want them to want to be at school learning and having a good time with their classmates. Okay, with our climate survey, Rosemont Elementary has positive staff, students, and parent-guardian relationships. Students feel like our staff cares about them and that they can count on us. Our staff believe that they can rely on administration to support them. And that's very important to me, and it's always a priority because I firmly believe that we're all in this together. From the general Berkeley County School Staff Survey and our school-specific one, we can all continue to find ways to help reduce student discipline issues in the classroom. And I've already discussed some of the things that we have in place. We're hoping for continued improvement with those issues. And finally, I want to shine our spotlight on the wonderful family involvement activities that we've had so far this year. It's been wonderful to be able to welcome back our families fully to Rosemont for events. And I tell you, the events have been overwhelming with high attendance. It's been exciting to see our families have a chance to interact with their children at school again. Through our Title I program, we've held various events, which have been a collaboration with our PTA. Our staff members are also very involved planning and participating in these events. Academic skills are integrated throughout the events, as well as important school information is shared, like our Aveus Bullying Prevention Program. Students from Martinsburg High School, we try to involve them as much as we can. They participated in our back to school ice cream steam night, and it was a real hit. Families had the opportunity to participate with their child as they work through various station activities, all with an ice cream theme. Take-home resources are given at our events to provide families with learning activities to utilize at home. In October, we had our annual trick-or-treat event. Again, our families came out in droves to bring their children to this exciting event. In November, we held our Veterans Day celebration. We love to honor veterans who have connections to our students. This event is always very special, and children learn from our veterans during time in the classrooms, where our guests share their experiences in the military and answer our students' questions. December brought some holiday fun and special music from our kindergarten students. I believe that Rosemont offers opportunities that are engaging and extend learning for our students and families. And we hope that through staff, family, and community involvement, that we can work together to create lasting memories of our students' time as Rosemont Rockets. We always say once a rocket, always a rocket. Thank you.
Let's try something different. Okay, so I am the last in-person principal you're going to see from the city this evening. So first of all, I'm Dr. Tyler Long from Tuscarora Elementary School, and we are a pre-K through second grade school. And we have 325 students. We have all special education programs, but a behavior disorders classroom. 29% of our school is made up of students with IEPs, and we are a Title I school. We have 3 fantastic Title I teachers and 1 math interventionist that pull and push in 2 classrooms daily. And I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce my staff who are here, and they did not want me to do it, but I am. Mrs. Anger and Mrs. Hughes, they are our second grade teachers, and they are fantastic. They do not have a catchy nickname like some others here, but they are fantastic, and they are here with me tonight, and I'm sure would be happy to answer any questions that you have. All right, our LSIC focus is simple. It is beautifying our playground. I'm not sure if any of you board members are aware of this or anyone in the community is aware of this, but playground equipment is expensive. Playground equipment is roughly, for a good piece of playground equipment, after installation, $20,000 to $40,000. That's crazy. But at the elementary level, you got to keep in mind, these are our football fields. These are our baseball fields, our basketball courts. That's what our playground is to our students. So we have playground work days. And what we've done during some of these days are simple. We've painted the swings, refurbished and painted the slides, resurfaced the blacktop, painted an obstacle course on the blacktop. We've replaced 2 swings. We've ordered a new swing and hung it for our special education students. And we have raised over $5,000 for new playground equipment through 2 fundraisers. And we have, at the end of this year, our annual fun fair, which has gone on for 40 plus years at Tuscarora. I remember going to this with my cousin when I was a little kid, and that money is going back into our playground. So we're excited for that. Like everyone else, we have a fantastic strategic plan, and it's a 3-pronged effort here: academics, behavior, and attendance. And as you can see, I have 11 steps here for academics. Now, don't worry about it. I'm not going over each and every one of those, but I am going to highlight a few that I'm particularly proud of. Number 1 is our vertical alignment team, which Mrs. Anger is actually on. And it's a team that I created 7 years ago when I came from Berkeley Heights to Tuscarora. And what it is it's a team that is made up of individuals from every grade level. What we do is we look at our test results, we look at our assessments, and we highlight what we're doing well, and we look at what we're not doing well. So what we do is we take our content standards, as you've heard about tonight, and we unpack those. We go backwards from second grade to kindergarten, and we can see, again, what we're doing well and what we need to change. And my big thing is, let's say, for example, our second grade students are struggling, which they're not. Every grade level plays a part in the student. The kindergarten team does, the first grade team does. So we build and we look and see what we can do differently. Next, we have weekly team meetings, and this is to find 45 minutes that these teachers get to meet, and I'm in these meetings as well as my academic coach, and they meet, they look at reading and math, what's happening now, their assessments they're created, and also what's coming for the weeks ahead. Next, like all of you guys, we follow the BCS reading and math model, and we do that through Scholastic and My Math. We have some great after-school activities. We use our Title I funds for math and reading clubs. But the big thing we do after school, and I will highlight this later, is our STEAM club. I am very excited about that. We have some great community involvement nights. We actually just finished up our STEAM night, which Mrs. Nellie Prisby chaired and ran, and we had over 200 students and parents there, and we partner with the Shenandoah Discovery Museum for that. Next, let's take a look at behavior. Some of you have mentioned PBIS. We were a PBIS school. We are not anymore, but we still follow those basic fundamentals. And my big thing is for my staff and for my students, it's expectations. And you have to have expectations for both. And so what we do is we have rules posted in all areas of the school, whether that be the cafeteria, the bathroom, the hallways. So students know what's expected of them. Next, at the elementary level, it's not always about discipline if a student steps out of line or does not do the right thing. It's about constantly reteaching. They need to know what's expected of them and the right thing to do. We have a school-wide behavior system. And also, like some of you here, I've created a behavior matrix, which takes the guesswork out of discipline. It's fair, and it helps me do the right thing at the right time, always in terms of discipline. Next, we have our attendance. And Mrs. Everhart, a guidance counselor, is not here. She's currently in Washington, D.C. But we have Zuzingo, which is a fantastic attendance program that I got from several people over here. I know Pekin uses it, Valley View uses it, Beddington uses it, several other schools use it. And it is a fantastic program that focuses on animals from a particular part of the world. The students get prizes. The students can win giant stuffed animals at the end of the week. It really has engaged them and made them want to come to school. Next, I'm all about student recognition. I feel like that really helps at this level. So we recognize for our monthly perfect attendance, the students every month. We call them up over the PA system. They get a reward. And then also I have awards assemblies. I do those quarterly. We recognize the students from each class with perfect attendance. They get brag tags, and also to the classroom with the highest percentage of perfect attendance gets a trophy. Next, let's jump to our climate survey. So I have two things to highlight. And first, the school is a good place to work and learn. That's always good to hear as a principal. And next, the school is a safe, secure place to work. And sadly, nowadays, student education and student and staff safety are 1A and 1B when it comes to a school system. And I am all about safety, as are our teachers, and we practice what to do rigorously throughout the year. And we are a very safe and positive environment for our students. Some areas to consider, like everyone here, we would like more parent involvement all throughout the school. And we're slowly getting that with some of our fantastic parent events that we do. Two things that I really wanted to spotlight. They are extracurricular activities, and I'm very proud of both of them. First of all is our STEAM Academy. We started this 7 years ago, and it focuses on science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. And it's for selected second grade students. We normally have about 20 of them. It runs for 5 to 6 weeks. This year it's running from March to April. And it's spearheaded by Mr. Jones, the art teacher, Mrs. Rohr, who was a classroom teacher but is now a PE teacher, and Mrs. Turner, our computer teacher and our librarian. And they go over some fantastic experiments, and we culminate it with a parent night. And as you can see in that very blurry picture there, we have, it looks like our students have built a boat out of Legos, and we're seeing if it can float. And next, Mrs. Everhart was going to present on this, but she is not here. We have our Kindness Club. And our Kindness Club is a group of first and second grade students, roughly about 7 or 8, and they work together with Mrs. Everhart to do community activities throughout the school year. They meet every Wednesday from 4 to 5 o'clock. But some things they've done is they've collected personal hygiene items for our local nursing home. They've made posters for our veterans for Veterans Day. They've sent cards to patients at the hospital at Christmas time, and they provide snacks to our staff routinely. So that's all we have. I'm not going to steal anybody else's line, but I have the best staff in the county. And I've told them that for 7 years, and I'm extremely proud of them. But next is Mrs. Kathy Wright, and she is some way, shape, or form going to present to you in a recording.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to share information about our wonderful school, Winchester Avenue Elementary. I am currently on my way to attend the required West Virginia School Leadership Network Conference being held at Stonewall State Park. In attendance this evening, representing Winchester Avenue, is teacher and
currently a Title I reading specialist. I am the school coordinator and our faculty senate president. And we have a parent with us, Brooke O'Connell, who is a kindergarten parent, PTO president, and LSIC member. So you can look at us, but listen to Kathy.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to share information about our wonderful school, Winchester Avenue Elementary. I am currently on my way to attend the required West Virginia School Leadership Network Conference being held at Stonewall State Park. In attendance this evening, representing Winchester Avenue, is teacher and faculty senate president Stephanie Aversa and parent member of our LSIC and PTO president Brooke O'Connell. Thank you both for being here this evening. This year, our LSIC has met focusing on increasing parent involvement and establishing a framework for the PASS program here at Winchester Avenue. Shown here are action steps our LSIC has taken in building the PASS program at our school, which will support our students' academic and well-being needs. Pictured here are parents along with their students making connections and enjoying our most recent Somebody Loves You dance sponsored by our PTO. Winchester Avenue has 148 students enrolled, pre-K through third grade, with a mission of learning for all. Schools have all sorts of different priorities being brought to their attention daily, but to be truly effective, they must have a clear sense of direction and purpose. This means they must know what they want to achieve, their goals, why they want to achieve these things, their vision and mission, and how they will achieve it, their strategic plan. And our strategic plan, our academic excellence goal, is that all students will perform at or above grade level or make more than a year's growth in reading and math, with a target of 70% of all students being on grade level by the end of the year. Our health and well-being goal is creating and maintaining a safe learning environment that promotes excellent academic achievement, with a focus on targeting and increasing student attendance and decreasing major discipline referrals. Our operational excellence goal is to have effective and efficient operations that will allow our school to maintain its focus on student learning. As you see here, these are academic and behavior and attendance action steps that we have been taking this year towards our strategic plan goals. The strategic plan can inspire and unite the whole school community and helps people keep the focus on the big picture, student achievement and well-being. A school's climate and culture is important and the responsibility of everyone in the organization. Our previous climate surveys show parents feel welcomed at our school, we have a shared sense of pride in our school, and we have a strong academic focus at our school. Areas to consider is increasing parent involvement of all kinds and decreasing the amount of time spent on addressing discipline concerns in the classroom. Our staff continues to work to develop a clearly articulated mission, focusing on successful learning for all students. Through collaboration, our staff is working to form a shared understanding of and commitment to instructional goals, priorities, assessment procedures, and accountability. Our goal is to use this mission to create a culture of learning, one that encourages students and staff and motivates them to accomplish more than they ever dreamed possible. A clear and focused mission will inspire everyone into action with a constant focus on student learning and achievement. When families are stakeholders in their students' education, there's a positive impact on student success. Great things are happening at Winchester Avenue, and we are grateful to share these items with you this evening. At this time, I'm going to ask Brooke O'Connell, one of our wonderful parents, to highlight how our families are being engaged to support their students' success.
Good evening. Again, I'm Brooke O'Connell, and I'm a proud parent of a kindergartner as well as PTO president at Winchester Avenue Elementary. As a parent and professional in Berkeley County, I can confidently say Winchester Avenue recognizes the importance of prioritizing trusting relationships with the students, families, and staff we serve. As it has been echoed several times, which I'm so grateful to hear, no significant growth and learning can occur without significant relationships. It is not only each individual school's responsibility to equip our future leaders and support their families, but it is the responsibility of Berkeley County Public Schools as a whole, as well as community agencies and organizations, to adapt to the needs of the students and families in our care. Therefore, it takes a village, and we must take the time to learn and tend to the needs of our students and families as they arise. The PASS program and PTO at Winchester Avenue allows this process to unfold and bridge the gap to serve as agents of change in all areas our students and families may need support. Winchester Avenue Elementary hosts monthly school and teacher appreciation events, as well as hopes to implement future visits from past volunteers that involve community organizations and parent and guardian volunteers. Our hope is to provide a safe environment for students, their families, school staff, and community members to foster impactful relationships and pave the way for future generations. Again, as Principal Wright had noted up here, these are some events that we have already held at Winchester Avenue this year. And this was our very first Somebody Loves You dance within 15 years at Winchester Avenue. And it was a huge success. The kids were very excited to attend. It was a good incentive for them. I loved seeing all the parents and guardians there, just engaging in conversation with not only their children that attended, but engaging in conversation and building relationships with other parents and guardians as well. We have some other future events coming up that are planned, such as an Easter egg hunt. We're just really excited to just get parents and guardians involved. I was a little nervous when I started at first as a PTO president, because I'm like, this is a full-time job. So I'm very grateful that a lot of parents and guardians have stepped up, and I've kind of stepped back a little bit and allowed them to take the reins as well. So I'm very excited that my son, is thriving in kindergarten, and I'm very proud and confident that my child will thrive and succeed because he has a strong community behind him, not only at his school, but in Berkeley County. And I believe each of us can serve as an advocate for our families and our future generations. They are the most important work that we have, and it is our responsibility. It is not a privilege that these children have to attend school. It's our responsibility to provide them with quality care, love, education, and a safe learning environment. Thanks.
My ink pen ran out of ink, so. My ink pen ran out of ink. I was writing away. What are-
All right. Ms. Long,
Did you say me? I'm not, did you say? Excuse me. I'm not ready. I have.
I'm sorry. Okay, Ms. Power,
Um,
need to get the mic.
I know, the mic is. Fun, okay. I have to say, I enjoyed listening to all of the community and parent involvement activities. Throughout all of the schools. That is, I think that's just amazing that there is so much that is being done. And I know that it looks like some schools are trying to figure out how to get that started. As a former PTO president, I am absolutely giving you carte blanche to contact me, reach out to me, ask me any questions you want. I'm more than willing to sit down with any of you and help you figure out what that might look like for your school if you don't already have it. I think one of the questions, I wrote down a lot, sorry. Biggest question I have, Mr. Long. And I will say, I am not very good with names. The only reason I remember your name is because of Miss Long, it's up here. I apologize to anybody else that I'm not very good with names. I always envy those who can memorize names within 2 seconds. I'm just not there. You had mentioned that you've created this behavioral matrix.
Yes.
Can you explain in detail what that might look like from a student that maybe be caught talking during class versus a student that is, doing something a little bit more extreme?
Yeah, so can I make this?
Absolutely.
Several of us have that. That is a concept that I think many of us have, but here's how it works. For example, it goes through various behavior offenses. So for example, I'll use you for an example. So let's say Mr. Mullinex, I would hope would never be sent to the office for talking, but let's say he disrupts his, you do talk a lot, so you probably would. Let's say that Mr. Mullinex continuously disrupts his classroom. So his first offense is simple. It's a warning and I call his parents. His next offense can be as simple as in-school suspension. Then if it becomes a chronic offender, then we would do some sort of out-of-school suspension. Now, that matrix also evolves into things such as fighting. And of course, the consequences for fighting are not just simply a call home and a warning. That the consequences for fighting are out-of-school suspensions, or in some cases with an elementary school student, it's an in-school suspension. Obviously, fighting at my school is a lot different from fighting at Martinsburg High School. But basically, what I've done is taken, I would say, 10 categories of offenses, and it breaks down into the consequence for each. And at the elementary school, at least for me, I always try to start off with just a simple phone call home, talking to their parents, establishing that relationship, and then reteaching the behavior. Because what we're seeing in a lot of cases, especially with our kindergarten and first grade students, is they may not know what's socially appropriate. So we have to reteach them. And that's what we all try to do, I would hope and think.
I think right now I'm just gonna table it because I digested a lot of information, so I'm.
Ms. Long.
I just had a question. First, I want to say how much I appreciated your presentations because I know this is a lot for you to go through in an evening after you've been through a long day. And you amaze me at when I look at your presentations, what you all actually go through in a day, a week, what you do after school. But I was just curious how many of you had past programs? Well, that's a wonderful program. I'd like to see a lot more, but that's a great start. So that's the only question I had. I do appreciate what you've done and your presentations, and I know you're all working hard.
Right?
I have a question, for Mr. Barney. And again, with Ms. Long, same thing. I do appreciate everyone's information. Especially a lot of the community involvement that many of you mentioned. That was one thing that I was, a little concerned about, thinking that I know we always need more, but seemed more than what I was anticipating. But the question I had is, you mentioned, helping those students that maybe, need that special targeting to help them to succeed and providing the appropriate number of staff. Do you find that difficult to provide the appropriate number of staff considering our nationwide and statewide struggles with staffing?
So the quality of people that we have in place working with those targeted students, it's at a pretty high level. What we run into is we have, we break down our IXL data. We have a number of kids beyond what they can take in a given period of time to work with. That's what we run into. So do we have the quality of staff there in front of them? Yes, but we have the need of the kids, especially coming out of COVID. I think that contributes at a high level to it. Our groups could be much bigger, but when you're aiming at certain students and certain skills, you don't want to make that group too big for that one individual to work with. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, perfect. All right, thank you.
Mr. Martin?
One statistic that really jumped out to me, I think it was Burke Street Elementary, the third grade math scores. Is it, you want to share? Was it 78% proficient versus our county-wide's 39%, so almost double? Secret sauce there you want to share? Yeah.
Just excellent people, excellent staff, that work together. But looking at our schools, it's not like looking at Martinsburg High School or the bigger schools. We do not have any special education programs, so that's one difference. I can tell you that one of the third grade teachers has been with us long now. She actually did student teaching with us. So we hired her right out of college. We were actually a school improvement her first 3 years as a teacher. She was our only third grade teacher at that point. So obviously when she was her first, second, and third year, she was still learning. And that was a lot on her. So now she's in her 13th, 12th, 13th year. She has, her scores are phenomenal.
Yeah.
So,
I don't
just
know.
the experience of working with the assessment. And so I'm sure other schools have fairly new teachers that are probably, they're struggling as well, just the test and trying to get their feet under them. And that, so Burke Street's fortunate to have an excellent staff that is, has many years of experience with assessment. It's not, we can't compare our school to everyone else's schools. It's not that easy. But thank you for recognizing.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I just want to say thank you for all the presentations. They're awesome, and what you guys are doing in the schools every day. It's super important. I know everyone cares about their school very much. It's their baby. So thank you for what you do in the Martinsburg district. And I'll turn it back to you, Pat. I saw how many sticky notes you have.
Okay,
One other question.
sure.
Okay, and this goes for anybody who might want to, answer and jump up. I didn't do it. The question I have is the data that you guys are looking at and constantly evaluating, is that leading data? We went through a little bit of a workshop this past weekend, and they were talking to us about the differences between leading data, and lagging data. If your data teams, are you looking at leading data or lagging data?
I would say most of the time, the data we're looking at is lagging data because you're looking at, assessment data. But some of it's more lagging than others. So if it's an IXL that you've taken at the end of the first semester, that's pretty recent assessment. But if you're looking at West Virginia General summative assessment data from last spring, then that's obviously more lagging.
Okay.
So most of it's lagging, but some can be more recent than others.
Okay. Are there any assessments or anything that you can draw on that would be leading? Because we were given the information that leading data actually leads to better outcomes for students. So I don't know what is available.
I'd say from a high school standpoint, the PSAT would be considered leading data for us because our kids take it at the beginning of the year. Then we can look at, how they did, where they need support in, and we can use that to plan out the year. And we can also use that as a comparison point to our SAT. Like with my 11th grade students right now, I'm having them set goals for their SAT score based off of what their PSAT score was.
Okay.
So try to get 10% better based on that PSAT score.
Just from the elementary level, we do tend to have more of the leading data, just because we are focused right now on progress monitoring between interventions. We also do a lot of unpacking of standards. So we are creating common formative assessments that our teachers are utilizing with those focus standards, coming back to our team meetings and talking about progress. So I think for us, it's a lot easier because we are so hands-on and working with those early interventions. We also have STAR data that we do, periodically, but we have programs such as Forefront that we're piloting at OPECN for math that really tracks kids' progress on different standards. So I think at the elementary level, that's probably a little bit easier for us to do just because of all the interventions we have.
Mr. Wright?
I did want to bring up one other point. It's not really a question, it's just basically just looking at the data, and I've noticed the high mobility rate, not amongst teachers and staff, but amongst our students. And so I just want to let the public know that just when you have that much mobility, many times people are moving from one school to another, that also can affect scores because you don't have that consistency. So with attendance not being where we want it to be, and then the high mobility rate, that also can impact scores. I don't want everybody to think, oh, the school is doing a terrible job. Well, they may have just gotten 5 or 10 new students, and students have to get acclimated to new surroundings, new teachers, and new friends, and everything else. So that is one reason why there may be score issues as well. Thank you.
Questions over on the right? I have a number of questions. I was just following up on Mr. Wright. We're not counting students. The scores are not counted for students under a certain number. What's that number? 100 and how many days they have to be at that school? 130. So we do that. We do have allowances for the ones who are not there. The question is, what are the scores of the students who are not meeting the 130 and are still moving through the system? I've never seen that. But one of the concerns I have is that I don't want to make a broad statement because there are schools exceeding the state's level and even in that the county level and the state's level, but the county overall is a little bit below what the state's scores are. And when you look at West Virginia compared to other states, West Virginia is down in the bottom. So we're not, I don't want to say we're the worst of the worst, but we have to set goals to look at those numbers and improve what we're doing. One of the concerns I have, and this is just finger in the air here, is I've gone through and looked at the schools on retentions compared to attendance. I have a school here that promoted a student who only came half the time that year, 54%. I see another school, and I know the philosophy in the board office, and I disagree, that when you retain a student, it's less likely to graduate. But what am I up there passing out diplomas to who are not, where are they? And what message are we telling students who don't come to school when they go out to go to work? Are you rewarded for going to work? When you don't show up? No. Reality is going to hit you quick and very, very fast. Here's another school, 48%. Now, I know I also share a philosophy that if you hold a student back in the elementary school year, you shouldn't retain them 2 years in the same grade or something like that. I know you're just beating everybody down. But I also know that if you don't come to, you're not learning. And what do? Well, if you go to summer school for 6 weeks, we'll promote you. Well, if they failed to learn in 36 weeks, how are they going to learn in 6 weeks? So accountability is a big issue. Here's a school where a student only came 22 days. He had 12%, 12.2%. He was promoted. He was a 6th grader in that school. And I'm talking about schools in this room. Here we have a student who came 41 and a half days and was promoted. We got to stop treating these children like a hot potato and say, we got to get them out of here. They're too much of a problem. Because somewhere they're going to get a diploma. And that's a reflection upon the school system. Now, the high schools, I realize they're either on track or not track. But that's too late to hold them accountable. We've got to do it down in the lower grades. And we have to do it. Following up on what Mr. Wright mentioned, I want to single out some schools. Praise in public, criticize in private. But Tuscarora has a 3.5% mobility rate for your teachers. That's phenomenal. Burke Street, another high-performing school, 5.78%. Now, what if you have a staff with a lot of retirements? Well, that's not your fault, unless you can hang on to them there. But a lot of times they come back as substitutes and continue the good work. But we've got to treat our workplace like a place that they want to stay. And if you're having a high turnover rate, you better look in the mirror and see what is going on. Martinsburg High had a 7 3/4%. That's good. And you see it in the climate surveys. You see this positive attitude about the questions, and I've got pages of them here, but I'm not going to read them all to you. But let me point out just to those schools. Rosemont, you had a positive reaction to a parent involvement in the school. Tuscarora, pride in school, 32 out of 40. 4 people disagree. I'd probably be one. I'm always a rebel, so I'd probably be one of the 4. But it's an overall good reflection upon your school to have such a strong staff positive feelings. Some of you need to look at your addressing discipline. Now, the school board's trying to help create an alternative school, but you need to look at do you all get your climate surveys? You apparently do. You show them up here, but you need to do that. I want to single out one school that I am very empathetic for. And I visited your school on Friday, a week or 2 ago. And I'm worried. Not about what you, the principal, doing or something, but this board, this administration needs to step up and help Eagle School. Eagle School. Not because you're all doing something wrong. And my hat's off to you after I talk to you. But I've never walked into a school and saw so many faces not smiling. And you all need help. You all need intensive help. Because I'm worried about, I can't go into detail because of you betraying confidentiality for one student in particular. But I'm worried because usually people look at us and kind of laugh at us when we go in to visit. Oh, they finally showed up or something. But I did something I've never done. I tapped somebody, an adult, on the shoulder. It was like looking at a zombie. Somebody's face was just emotionless, worn out. And I saw it around them. And we need to step up and help you. We need to take our board office needs to come over. Our board members need to visit because you all have had a rough year, not only in the staff deaths, changes in administration, but I'm just worried for you and your children and your employees. And I want to publicly acknowledge that so that your people notice that this board is worried about you. This administration is going to be worried about you. I know they've been trying to help you, but we need to do more for you. We do need to do more. And that's part of this conversation. And don't take this back and make your people feel like they've been shot down. They're not, but we need to look at the thermometer and see where the temperature is and step up and help. I've seen the test scores, like I said, I'm looking at them. The legislature is working on some things. I don't know how it's going to work out, whether it'll pass, but Chuck Hatfield was an interim superintendent here a couple of years ago, and he was out to my house. He said, you got to focus on the first 3 grades. And if the legislature does that, I don't know where we're going to get teacher aides because we're having trouble now getting employees, but they're going to focus on the first 3 grades and with putting more aides in there. And there's some question about Title I and Title II and all that stuff, but that'll help. But and looking over this, please fight the system and hold the children accountable. Teach accountability to the children. Not only do we want to teach the basics, but if they don't come to school, we shouldn't be promoting them wholesale. If they're sitting there not signing their name on a paper and even doing the work, we shouldn't be giving them 50% for nothing. If they're sitting there fighting with people, we need to make sure they're getting, if they have a physical or visual or hearing problem, we need to make sure they're getting assessed. If there are rules like you have to wait 80 days till you get them service, we've got to challenge that. Because we need to help these children, but we don't overlook if they're being stubborn and they're refusing to work. We've got to tell them there's a consequence. And that's just one board member. I don't think I am the speaking for all 5, but my turn to speak. We've got to teach these children that I used to tell my students, you play the tune, and then they would have to holler back, we do the dance. And we've got to make sure that they understand this whole process. There's a goal. And if they're not reaching near that goal, I'm not talking about 100%. We're down to 60%, you pass. We dropped, it used to be 70%, but we dropped it down to 60. But by George, you don't get 50% on that paper for putting your name on it. You get a grade for how many you missed. Make it pure percentages, and the kids will understand you're being fair. And the first year, you're going to have a big howl from parents. But you teachers have the opportunity. You have the responsibility. You have the law that says you will make the substantial decision whether that child is promoted or not. And we have to do that. We have to get above West Virginia scores and then start climbing above and getting up there. And I've digressed long enough. If there's any members who want to say, Murphy, you're crazy, I disagree, you're free to do so. Or if you have other questions,
I have another question, but you opened that up, so I might go there.
go for it.
I just want to say a couple of things that Mr. Murphy talked about, and not to criticize what he said, but I know many of you all feel like that you didn't want to pass somebody that missed 180 days. You didn't want to promote somebody that missed 130 days. And with COVID, we did that. I want to stop doing that because that's not the norm. And I think our students had gotten into a routine that they can miss as many days as they want and just be promoted through. But I don't want him or anyone other up here to think that you all agree with promoting those students that miss all those days. And I also think there are many, many reasons why staff leave a school. They might have a tough principal that's trying to get things in line, and there's many reasons. So I'm not going to lecture you all for what the numbers in these books. So that's all I want to say.
So one thing that I wanted to address, at least from the elementary school level about retentions, is I can tell you, at least from the numbers from my school, most of those kids either were special needs and severely special needs or had severe medical issues. So that the numbers on the paper sometimes don't really jive with what reality is. I'm not going to hold any of those students back because they're already facing their own challenges. Something else with staff retention. We straddle the line sometimes between being our employee's boss or our employee's buddy. And a lot of us run a tight ship, and some of our employees don't like that. I think that's in the minority, though. Most of the reasons why our employees leave are because of the things that they have to deal with on a daily basis. From maybe they have that difficult student who just creates chaos for their classroom, or they have maybe, like for example, I know a couple of mine have left in the last couple of years because they're from Pennsylvania. They come here, they get their start, they go back home. I have a phenomenal teacher who I assume will probably do that at the end of this year. Or they live in Maryland and they can finally get a job in Maryland and jump back across the border and make $15,000 more. I don't think that's a reflection on us. And that's why I hate those particular numbers. I don't think that's a reflection on us. Sometimes numbers on a paper don't tell the whole story.
Thank you. Before we go on, Ms. Burkhardt, you didn't give students who were attending court hearings.
No, I got those from the attendance records.
Right. Okay, because I know we didn't want to screen, if they're pending in court, we didn't include them in these things. Thank you.
Don't highlight like the board aware. There are only 7 high schools in the state of West Virginia that have a children's home society that resides in their district. And we are one of those 7. So we have to take those students. And a lot of times those students then leave our school and go wherever. They go to a placement, they go to, anywhere. And then we are then held accountable because once they're enrolled in our school and put in a cohort for our graduation status, they're there until they transfer to another high school. They may go to a juvenile detention center or another place for that matter, but if that place they go to does not have a program that leads to graduation, leads to a diploma, then they still count against us. So I just want to make you guys aware of that.
Thank you, Michelle. While you're coming up, I think it was Dr. Smith said, there's no doubt in his mind, and I share that conviction, people go home tired. They're working hard, they're putting forth the efforts. It's not a group of slacking people that are teaching our children or supporting our children in the service ranks. Yes, ma'am.
I also think it's important to understand that we cannot retain based on attendance solely. We might have students who have missed a ton of days, but if they're on par academically, we cannot retain them just based on the number of absences that they have. I grew up in Connecticut and there was a strict attendance policy that if you had so many absences, you were retained and did not move on to the next grade. We don't have that in West Virginia. So just because we have students with excessive absences, which I agree, attendance is a huge issue. We are not permitted by law to retain strictly based on attendance. So I know that's something that might be up for debate, but it's just if they're performing academically, they go on to the next grade. So
Thank you.
I have a question. I saw, on, I think it was every single one of your presentations, that behavior was one of the areas of focus. Oftentimes when you're down, on that line, and you're working with students, you sit there and you look up at the people that are at the board office or on the board, and you go, yeah, they don't know what we're dealing with. So my question for you is, what
That's a huge.
All right, let's have some order. Line up. Go ahead, Mr. Sherman.
I'm here to represent in this role. I'm also going out to the community and representing you guys. So I want to help you just as much as I want to help them. So what can we do?
I think it breaks down the social emotional illness that we're dealing with, I think, on a daily basis in our schools. We just need resources, and you guys have been good at giving us resources. I mean, we have 3 social workers here and 6 guidance counselors, but we still need more resources. And we're dealing with on a daily basis from the time we walk in the building till the time we leave the building with discipline issue after discipline issue. And a lot of it is coming from social emotional issues, from things that students are dealing with at home, and just a lack of maybe structure at home, and just all the things that kids are seeing in our area. So I think the more that we can get resources and we can work with outside programs, options to get these kids help is what we need. And then Mr. Barney.
So the 2 years ago, we did the brick and click year. Discipline was a dream. It was a dream. If you opted for click, you likely were going to be the one who came in and made a mess of it. I can't remember the total number of referrals that year. It was unbelievable. My time at South Middle, the low number of referrals that year, it was incredible to me. Last year, coming out of that, it was a bit of a nightmare. Now, some of that is the group that Mr. Sherman's working with as freshmen right now. They were just an exceptionally difficult group who came through middle school during all that COVID. The whole time they were there, that's what they worked through. So I will say that discipline this year, I feel, is much better than it was last year. Now, the brick click year, I'll never get that again. You can forget it. But so it's better. However, when you get somebody in front of you and you really need probably to consider another place for them, the options that we have, I feel like we're a little limited on, and getting them there becomes the biggest hurdle for me in having that conversation to get them maybe to transitional school, maybe do something else. But the options that we have available there is where I get stuck. And so, we work through it and we do some out of school suspension, maybe some in school suspension, because sometimes we just got to look at it through the lens of what's best for that kid, and the person who runs our in schools best than them being at home. So, but the options available to us, I think are very limited, and it's difficult. I mean, with that said, we work through it, we do it, but it's tough.
Going to move into the next part of our program. If those of you who are here for the LSIC want to stay, you're more than welcome. If you want to leave now, you're free to do so. While the room is changing, I want to have the Presidential Scholars coordinator come up, and we will recognize these individuals. Thank you all for the work you do and the work you share. Okay, here we go. Would our counselors come forward? We are now recognizing presidential scholars. So we're ready for the counselors. There are you guys. Before we begin, with the recipients, after you're recognized and we move on to the next part, go out so Mrs. Bobo can take your photograph. All right. Forward, you do your thing.
My name is Kevin Frankhauser. We're representing Hedgesville High School, and myself and Mr. Rudick, we're here to celebrate Declan Hall. Declan, you can come on up. Declan is a recipient of the U.S. Presidential Scholars recognition and very well deserving. Declan is a senior at Hedgesville High School. He is a great representative of our school. He not only excels academically, but he's a great role model for our entire student body. I know past mates look up to Declan, and he's achieved so much academically, but he's also very humble about the accolades he's received. So Mr. Riddick is actually his counselor this year. I was Declan's counselor his first 2 years of high school, and he now has Mr. Riddick. So I'm gonna let him say a couple words as well.
Bit of a change in the counseling staff. We had an additional counselor, we had to split some things up. That's why it happened this way. Which also means that since Mr. Frankhauser has so graciously said probably everything I was going to say, I now have to kind of think of something else off the top of my head. And I promised Declan at some point I was going to embarrass him. So that'll be right now. So I talked to your sister, and I want to talk to you about middle school for a second. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm here representing Declan for a national award, and Mr. Frankhauser said it. I mean, he's an absolutely exemplary student. He's an exemplary student in our building. Everyone looks up to him. Everyone strives to say, you know, what is he doing? I wouldn't be like that. He's a natural leader, and I think the best thing about him is that every time that he wins an award or he's called upon to be a captain or something like that, he looks at someone around him and goes, Are they talking about me? Because he doesn't understand that his going above and beyond is so unconventional in what we see a lot of education right now. It's really an honor to have somebody like this standing here because of the great job he's doing and the role modeling that provides to the other students. I wish there were more students like you out there. I really mean that. That's why they have awards like this. So I wouldn't say, first up, congratulations, Declan. It's an award well deserved.
Hi, I'm Christopher Shao. I'm one of the school counselors at Musselman High School. I would invite my student up, but I was just poor, she wasn't able to make it tonight. So I'm here to honor Kendall Shepard, who is a student at Musselman High School. It's a great privilege to be able to be here to honor her today. She has attended Musselman High School for all 4 years and perfectly represents what it means to be an Appleman. She is a kind, intelligent, and humble student. She's also very hardworking and a reliable student, which really embodies all of the ideals of a presidential scholar. In the classroom, Kendall has challenged herself to take many AP and honors courses. In this school year, she is taking dual enrollment classes at Shepherd University. She's maintained a very high GPAs in the top few percent of her graduating class. But even greater than her academic achievements are her contributions to our community, both in the school and outside of the school. She is a leader in our school community, in student council and leadership, holding service positions. In that capacity, she has helped to plan and facilitate school-wide events such as assemblies and pep rallies. She's also helped to implement community efforts that she or create a mental health awareness week at our school. She's also given a lot of time outside of school in her community as well. She's volunteered for over 250 hours at the local VA hospital, which is a tremendous amount of work. For the time that she's donated in these efforts, she has been recognized with the Veterans Foreign Wars Distinguished Service Award, which is a prestigious award for a teen to receive. And very reflective of her dedication to the community. All of the things that she's done, she's been able to maintain the most success and a positive attitude at all times. I'm very proud of Kendall and her accomplishments and honored to have worked with her for the last 4 years. She plans to attend Keuka College in New York to major in accounting, and her ultimate goal is to go to law school to become a lawyer. I have no doubt that her positive attitude, hardworking work ethic is going to continue to have a positive impact on her community and in both her college and her future career. So congratulations to Kendall. And I just, want to say, I think I snuck in at the very end of the last presentation. And I think one thing, I've never met Declan, but I think I've heard about you. Are you a Questbridge Scholar as well? We have one of those too at our school. Congratulations. A lot of these students that we're presenting these awards to have just an amazing drive and purpose to what they do. And I think that that is something that if we can instill that purpose in other students, that we will see many students achieve to the heights that these students have today. So congratulations, Kendall.
Good evening, folks. Trent Sherman, Martinsburg High School, and I'm here to tell you about Billy McCune, who is our U.S. Presidential Scholar. He is an excellent student. He's one of those students that I really like because he has spent very little time in my office. So I know he's a good student. He nearly aced the SAT test, and I think he's going to a pretty prestigious college next year. So I'm going to give him a minute here to talk to you a little bit about what all he's involved in at Martinsburg High School and what he's going to do next year.
Howdy. Well, I got a lot of things to talk about because I've been here for 4 years, so I've done a lot of things. I'm coming up this March. I'm competing for regionals for Math Field Day. I'm president of my Science National Honor Society club. I'm also co-president of my local high school's ecology club. I'm a member of student council. I'm an Eagle Scout. I'm a member of the National Honor Society, the Rotary Interact Club. I've also participated in Model United Nations. Recently, we just got back from the Ivy League conference at the University of Pennsylvania. I'm a member of my swim team and my golf team. My plan after high school is to go to Duke University and major in computer science and economics. Thank you.
Again, really embodies what we want at Martinsburg High School. Not only is he a very intelligent young man, he's participated in community service and other things here at Martinsburg, which we think is a very important part of the career here at Martinsburg High School. Thank you.
While they're doing that, I would ask, is Ann Lasky here? While they're walking out and Ann's walking up, Mr. McCune's grandmother served on the school board back in the day. Miss Lasky?
Superintendent Stevens, Mr. Murphy, can you guys hear me? I'm pretty loud. You're in trouble now. Superintendent Stevens, Mr. Murphy, board members, and honored guests. Good evening and welcome to a very special evening for Berkeley County Schools. We are gathered here to celebrate and honor the efforts of all involved in the National Board Teacher Certification process. My name is Ann Lasky. I'm the Mathematics Instructional Specialist and Coordinator of the National Board Certified Teacher Program and also a National Board Certified Teacher. The National Board Teacher Certification is a prestigious recognition. Tonight, we are honoring 2 newly certified National Board teachers and 18 educators who renewed their certification, bringing the total number of National Board Certified teachers in Berkeley County to 116. With our additions tonight, Berkeley County Schools continues to lead the state with the highest number of National Board Certified teachers. National Board Certification is a voluntary, rigorous, performance-based, peer-reviewed process created for teachers by teachers. National Board Certified teachers must demonstrate advanced teaching knowledge, skills, and practices. Completion of National Board Certification signifies that teachers have developed and demonstrated the skills required to become an exemplary educator. So on behalf of Berkeley County Schools, we salute you and celebrate you tonight. To reach this level of accomplishment, these outstanding educators completed a grueling process that included a portfolio of classroom practices, including samples of student work, video recordings of their instruction, use of assessments to effectively plan and collaborate with others to advance student learning. A National Board Certified teacher is not a permanent certification and must be renewed. This signifies their commitment to excellence in education and validates their continued professional involvement in a variety of areas that is consistent with high and rigorous standards. This program with Berkeley County Schools has experienced success due to an outstanding mentoring team. I am fortunate to work with National Board Certified teachers who do a wonderful job mentoring the candidates. Their willingness to provide support, assist with recruitment, and organize and present key information at monthly meetings goes above and beyond. So at this time, I'm going to introduce the mentors. I'm actually going to ask them to come down this year and help me present because it's not my show. So first is Sandy Marchese. Sandy is a National Board Certified teacher as early childhood generalist. Sandy currently is the academic coach at Jarrettstown Elementary. Next is Dottie Pinnell, who is a National Board Certified as a middle childhood generalist. Dottie is also an academic coach at Opequon Elementary. Jessica Rukas. I don't think Jessica is with us tonight, but we still want to say Jessica is the music and early adolescent through young adult teacher at Spring Mills Middle School. Sonia Shockey. I don't think Sonia can make it tonight either. Okay, is certified as adolescent through young adult in history, and she currently teaches at Hedgesville High School. And I know Maggie Beth Potton is not with us tonight, and she is also certified in music and early adolescent through young adult. And Maggie is currently the assistant principal at Tomahawk Intermediate. All right, so when I call your name up, we're going to start with our new National Board Certified Teachers. I'm going to ask you to come up, be recognized, and then at the conclusion of this presentation, we're all going to meet for a group picture outside with Ms. Bobo. So first is Kelly Johnson. All right, Kelly, Kelly is a Title I reading interventionist at Orchard View Intermediate. She earned her certification in literacy, reading, language arts early and middle childhood. Our next is Jessica Wood. Jessica is currently the academic coach at Mountain Ridge Intermediate, and she's earned her certification in generalist and middle childhood. All right, so these are our two new National Board Certified teachers. All right, so at this time, we want to recognize our really newly renewed National Board Certified teachers. Marcy Alwyn, there she is currently a history teacher at Hedgesville Middle School, and she is certified in social studies, history, early adolescence. All right, next is April Bajan. Yay. April is currently an academic coach at Bunker Hill Elementary, and her certification is generalist in early childhood. Next is Alicia Boswell. Alicia is currently teaching first grade at Spring Mills Primary, and she is certified as a generalist in early childhood. Next is Teresa Campbell. Teresa is currently teaching reading at Mountain Ridge Middle School, and her certification is in English language arts, adolescents, and young adults. Next is Cindy Everts. Cindy is currently the gifted teacher and teaching math at South Middle School, and her certification is mathematics early adolescence. Next, we have Rhonda Foreman. Rhonda is currently teaching English at Martinsburg High School, and her certification is English language arts, adolescents, and young adults. Next, we have Elizabeth Hammond. Elizabeth is currently a Title I interventionist at Berkeley Heights Elementary, and she is certified in literacy, reading, language arts, early and middle childhood. All right, next is Brandy Hawkinsmith. Brandy is currently the librarian at Martinsburg High School, and she is certified as English language arts, adolescent, and young adults. All right, next we're gonna congratulate Sadie Marchese, our mentor that really is also the academic coach and renewed her certification. Next is Amy Mason. Amy is currently teaching second grade at Spring Mills Primary, and her certification is generalist middle childhood. Next, we have Davida Melander. Davida is currently teaching science at Spring Mills Middle School. Her certification is in science early adolescence. All right, next we have Michelle Sexton. Michelle is currently a Title I interventionist at Opequon Elementary. Her certification is in literacy, reading, language arts, early and middle childhood. Next, we have Liz Vinoy. Liz is currently teaching home economics at Mountain Ridge Middle School, and she is certified as career and technical ed, early adolescent through young adult. We also have 5 more teachers that are not with us tonight, but I still want to recognize them. Not with us tonight is Jessica Butcher, who currently teaches at James Rumsey Technical Institute. She is certified in science and early adolescence. Lynn Fry cannot be with us tonight. She's currently a Title I reading interventionist at Orchard View Intermediate, certified in literacy, reading, language arts. Heather McCain is not with us tonight, but she is currently the academic coach at Tomahawk Intermediate, and she is certified as a generalist in middle childhood. Lindsay Shockey is not with us tonight. She's currently a special education teacher at Mountain Ridge Middle, and she is certified exceptional needs. And lastly, Cheryl Snyder, who's currently a special ed teacher at South Middle School, and her certification is exceptional needs through young adult. All right, and I just want to thank our board members for their continued support of the National Board Certification Program. As board members, you have witnessed and appreciated the impact National Board Certified teachers have on our students. I also want to thank the mentors and especially the family and friends of the honorees. I know that this process requires a great deal from each of them, and I'm sure your support has been appreciated. Thank you again for joining us tonight, and we'll have a group picture in the back.
Let's give Ms. Lasky a round of applause for doing this. Let's stand for the award. Okay. Mr. Cutler, please come on down.
Thanks, so special. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Dr. Smith is also part of this presentation.
Very strange story here.
I understand you're having a tug of war over this one. Go ahead.
Yeah, and this, check. Yeah, in this age of the transfer portal, we really have a, constant movement within our buildings. No, but in all seriousness, I'll tell you what, it was 8 years ago, I became principal at Orchard View Intermediate. And Miss Cheryl Keller was, the head cook at that time. And she really took me under my wing. I don't know if she ever truly recognized how important she was in my success, but she was just instrumental and has always been. I've never worked with someone more trusting and a confidant, and just she always looked out for me. And so, with that being said, I'll just simply say Cheryl is an exceptional leader in the cafeteria. Her efforts and positivity extend well beyond the kitchen and permeate throughout our building, or any building, much like the aroma of Salisbury steak served hot for student lunch, which is my personal favorite. She sets the tone of our students' dining experience by welcoming students with a smile and personal conversation. Ms. Keller follows all the food and nutrition guidelines and goes above and beyond to make the cafeteria an enjoyable experience for all students. I've never worked with a better kitchen staff, and that's true. Never. Orchard View Intermediate's been the best, and you set the tone to carry on beyond your time here. And that's the true mark of a leader. Once she leaves, it's already in place. So just know that. I've never worked again with a better kitchen staff, and Cheryl Keller is the special ingredient. Burke Street's gain is certainly our loss, but we're so proud of you, Cheryl Keller. Why don't you come on up?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm sorry about that.
We love you. We love you.
Say a few words, known Cheryl for many years because I remember when she first hired, and she does such a wonderful job. What
Famous, how could you?
I know, but tomorrow is Salisbury steak. So there you go.
Thank you for sticking around and continuing what you do. I know. So.
Thank you very much.
Let's go back and visit.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Is it okay if I say something? Okay. So, sorry, yeah, I'll keep this brief. Actually, I was the assistant principal at Orchard View 20 years ago when the school opened and Cheryl was there then. And we are strongly discouraged and from recruiting and stealing people. So like he said, the transfer portal was used, so it was all legal. But this happened over between the first and second semester, over the holiday season, Christmas/winter break. So as well, I called Luke and told him, that she had accepted the position. So
I was like, why is Tom
let's
calling
just
me?
say he did not say Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays or have a Happy New Year when I told him that. So no, I'm just kidding. He took it like a true champ, and I'm sorry. And but thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
I believe Ms. Bobo will want to photograph you out in the foyer, Ms. Keller. Congratulations. Ms. Worthington.
Yes, I am. All right. Good evening, Mr. Murphy, board members, Mr. Stevens, and senior staff. My name is Katie Worthington, and I'm the principal at Marlow Elementary School. I am honored to be here this evening to recognize a truly exceptional individual, Mrs. Gwen Knighton, as the recipient of the Volunteer of the Month Award. She's hiding in the back. She thinks she's here for an intervention presentation. So I hate lying to you, Mrs. Knighton. It was so hard. I feel really bad, but I feel better now. Mrs. Knighton is someone who has made a significant impact on the lives of so many students and staff members at Marlow. And we are grateful for the hard work, dedication, and kindness she brings to our community. I like to share the fact that Mrs. Knighton was my mentor during my first year teaching. Her willingness to give of her time and expertise to help me become a better teacher is something I will always be grateful for. Mrs. Knighton is also a retired BCS teacher who now works 2 days a week at Marlow as a part-time interventionist, thanks to a reading grant our county received. However, she goes above and beyond what is expected of her, dedicating more time throughout the week to her students. In fact, she volunteered her time over the summer to set up the new intervention classroom and started working with students prior to her start date in October. This level of commitment is a testament to Mrs. Knighton's love for her students and her passion for teaching. Mrs. Knighton's dedication to her intervention students is something to be admired. She ensures they receive the attention and support they need to succeed. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge Mrs. Knighton's kindness towards the staff at Marlow, and you can see some of the crew right there. She always has a positive word to share, a smile on her face, and is willing to lend a helping hand. Her warmth and compassion towards others is truly inspiring, and she sets a great example for all of us to follow. I am proud to recognize Mrs. Knighton as a recipient of the Volunteer of the Month Award. Her extra time spent with our intervention students, commitment to Marlow, and kindness to the staff are just a few of the reasons why she is deserving of this honor. Thank you, Mrs. Knighton, for all that you do. We are grateful for you and your service to our school community. Thank you. Your students made you some thank you cards. Sorry, I lied to you.
Are all these people standing with you at the school?
Oh, wow. I just wanted to say that Marlowe's just holds a special place in all of our hearts. And I can tell that Marlowe holds a special place in your heart. And I am just so thankful that you have given your life to teaching, to education, but then you also went back after. Not many people do, and I appreciate the fact that you do, and that you volunteered your time. Thank you so much. May I say something?
Sure.
Yeah. At Marlowe, from Mrs. Worthington down, is just amazing. They give they're selfless, they don't think about themselves, they tirelessly work for the benefit of their children. From the time they walk in that door in the morning till the time they leave to bed, they don't leave right away. I mean, they're there working long after. But they are constantly searching, trying to find things to do to make teaching and learning fun for their children. And not only do they want them to be successful as students, but they teach them to be good citizens as well. It's an amazing place to work. And I'm so blessed to be able to work with them. Thank you.
Thank you. We now go into the citizens forum. No signups, okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Mr. Martin, will you be recusing on 9.4, the buses, river riders?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we have before us the consent agenda. 2 sets of minutes, a chaperones list with 61 names on it. Curricular and extracurricular trips of 14. 5 use of school properties, the budget supplements, transfers, the payment of bills, approve invoices. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Second? Okay, the motion's been made by Ms. Long and seconded by Mr. Wright. We're going to separate out item 9.4. And Mr. Martin will be recused from this. On favor, I'm sorry.
I apologize. On 9.2, the minutes of the special meeting, February 8th, 2023. Can we add that Mr. Wright and myself attempted to join via Zoom, but we were not able to do so because of tech issues?
Certainly. Is that noted down front? Okay. The minutes will reflect as amended on 9.2 that 2 members attempted, but because of technical problems at the time, were unable to attend and virtually on the meeting. Further discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have to declare the motion adopted. Okay, now on 9.4. This is just the curricular and extracurricular trips. With Mr. Martin recused, do I have a motion to approve this? Second?
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have to declare the motion adopted. Mr. Martin could be. Okay, we have the bond project status. Superintendent Stevens.
There's really, I really don't have a lot to add on that. With our weekly call with our bond counsel and our financial advisors, we've got hopefully a big day coming tomorrow. They're working diligently with the Attorney General's office to get our bond ready to be certified. So that's really where we are. We should hopefully know a lot more about that tomorrow.
Adoption of file CA, the school superintendent's legal status. Do I have a motion to approve the revision to the policy CA?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
okay, all discussion on the motion. Would Dr. Schooley just like to remind us of what we're why we're revising this policy?
Good evening, members of the board. Mr. Stevens, before you this evening, you have the adoption of policy CA, school superintendent legal status. The revisions of this policy were to bring the board's policy up to the current legislative statutes within the state of West Virginia, primarily dealing with the date of when the superintendent must be placed under contract during that time, as well as some other statutory language. It was placed out for review and comment from January the 24th through February the 6th. No comments were received during this comment period, and the superintendent recommends approval of this policy.
Thank you. Are there questions by members of the board? Okay, are we ready to vote on this issue? We've already had a motion made and everything. All those in favor of approval of policy CA signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have declared the policy adopted. I will point out to you that in the policy here, you have to have a evaluation done by March the 1st, correct, Dr. Schooley? And since this is the last meeting and the board has already met in the executive session, I was wondering, since this is a related item on the agenda, we had the evaluation listed on our agenda, if I would be out of order to go ahead and announce the superintendent's evaluation and we go ahead and take a vote. Am I all right, Dr. Schooley?
Yes, it does look like.
Okay, all right. I'm going to read a statement that is as bland as oatmeal. And then I'm going to add some other things that this board wishes to incorporate in the superintendent's evaluation. First, by legal counsel over the past, I make this announcement. The members of the Board of Education for Berkeley County Schools met in an executive session as authorized under section 6(9)(a)(4) of the West Virginia Code to conduct the annual evaluation of Superintendent Ron Stevens that is required by West Virginia Board Policy 5309. As a result of the evaluation, the board has unanimously concluded that the superintendent has met or exceeded all the requirements for performance of all the duties of executive officer of the Berkeley County Board of Education. We further would like to add as an appreciation for the job he's done, note on the following items, and this will be incorporated into the final passage once we vote upon this. Leading the bond passage, he embraced more board involvement as stakeholders, meaning that the board participated in activities at lower levels than just sitting up here at the board. His overall positive communication with the public, the employees, and the board is appreciated. He pursued to improve academic rigor. He has pursued an open door policy. In the short and final item, in the short time he has served as interim superintendent, he has faced many difficult, unnormal challenges. Do I have a motion to adopt this statement of the superintendent's evaluation?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. Any comments?
Are we gonna vote on the finalized copy?
Yeah, this is
Or this is preliminary?
preliminary, be developed with these limitations.
Okay.
Yeah, because I would like Dr. Schooley to.
Yeah. Yeah, and words you don't want Mr. Murphy writing this, unaided.
I would like you to incorporate those
6 items.
6 items into that.
Okay, further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have it. Declare the motion adopted unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Stevens. All right. Personnel.
Good evening again, members of the board. Mr. Murphy, Mr. Stevens. The personnel actions you have before you this evening for your consideration dated Monday, February the 20th are as follows. We begin with 8 new coaching appointments. 6 of those are paid, 2 are unpaid. Then on pages 1 through 7, we have our renewal of our spring coaches for the upcoming sports season, and there are 70 coach appointments for your consideration. Then continuing on page 7, we have 4 resignations of coaches. We have 1 new extra duty appointment, 1 leave of absence to a current extra duty contract for the remainder of the year. We have 1 resignation of an extra duty contract, 2 new healthcare appointments. We have 1 revision to a healthcare appointment to make it a primary. We have 7 new appointments of professional personnel. If you look at line number 95, again, we bring before you Jennifer Setney as the Executive Director of Child Nutrition and Wellness. Again, on page 9, we have 4 1/7 due to a vacancy there. And then we have 2 resignations of professional personnel, 2 retirements, 1 correction of a previous retirement, as well as then 2 transfers. And these are to do with leave of absences, administrative positions, and dominoes within the school for those positions, with the assistant principal at Mill Creek leave of absence, as well as the leave of absence of Eagle School for those assistant principals. We have 13 new service appointments. We have 1 change of assignment for service personnel. On line 122, we have a ratification of the suspension and termination, and that's Lilibet Butts. We have 5 resignations of service personnel, 4 retirements of service personnel for the end of the school year, 1 revised retirement to retire sooner. We have 6 transfers of service personnel, 1 correction of a class title from a previous board action of a transfer. 2 individuals have rescinded their acceptance of a job for their transfers, 1 upgrade in aid title due to completing a year within special ed. We have 4 appointments of service substitutes, 1 revised appointment of a substitute service with the moving of her retirement date to start as a substitute sooner, 2 resignations of service substitutes, and 3 new substitute teachers for appointment, for a total of 151 personnel actions with the superintendent's recommendation dated Monday, February the 20th.
Did I hear you talk about the ratification of the suspension? Did I miss that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the personnel list as recommended by the superintendent? Second? Second by Ms. Long. Questions, comments?
I did have one, looks like there's a typo on line 112. It has a date of February 21st, 2012. So that means 2023. I just want to make sure that somebody caught that before.
Okay, yes, so it should have been 23. You're correct.
Okay, other comments?
How are we doing with replacing the English teachers at Spring Mills?
We continue to advertise and look for those as we can get through there. We're just now entering our recruitment season. We started last week actually attending fairs on campuses now through April. So we will be continually looking ongoing. And staffing starts this week as well and getting transfer lists prepared for March and April. So we will be heavily involved in staffing at this point in time.
Dr. School. I was just curious about, I see some resignation as of bus operators and I see some retirements. How are we doing there?
I mean, we have had some cancellations with substitutes the last few weeks, putting those out in the morning. They've had some, as you saw, the TBA standby drivers. So they've had 3 complete the course here recently. So it's just a slow churn of filling those positions as we work through that.
But we're going to at least.
That's
like
our
you-
hope, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, but I want something else, so I'll backfill it. Okay, when it comes to, the benefits coordinator, we see that there's resignation there. And I've seen, a few other resignations, throughout the county, of course. When can we get updated or recent surveys from the staff that have left?
I mean, we just gave you the group of the previous ones. It's voluntary. They don't have to return them. So we've probably only had a handful come in since you've last received those.
I'd love to see the additional ones, just because I'm curious. And then the only other thing I wanted to make a comment about, is Stephanie, thank you for sticking with us and working through with us, through this process. Mr. Schooley was able to, send out an email to all of us, the last few days where he was able to show that some of the, concerns that I had been addressed. So I just want to thank you for working with us through that.
Further questions, Dr. School? I have a couple comments and first one to point out that I think he's a custodian, but he's also a basketball coach, Ricky Memphis at Hedgesville Middle. And I think he's been a coach since middle school basketball started. So without, I don't want his service to the students to go unnoted there. I also had the central office question that you had just asked. Here was something else. As staff approached the request that the one lacrosse coach that we appointed 5 of them, all volunteer. And one of the lacrosse coaches came up and asked if they get the same status as other sports and so they don't have to take phys ed, I believe. I know lacrosse is a very intense sport. There's no doubt they're out there running up and down the length of a football field without stop, much like soccer players. And I was wondering if anyone could tell us whether there was consideration to grant the request that was asked.
Right now, lacrosse is a club sport within the schools. It's not a sanctioned sport by the West Virginia Athletic Association. There's not enough teams in the state yet to recognize that as one of their official sports. So it's just a club sport. So that's why we don't have it as a paid position within the county. And as you know, it started at Spring Mills High and has slowly grown to all of our high schools, but they're still waiting to get that recognized across the state. So it doesn't fall within the state board policy of the recognized sport.
I'm sure it's not in our control as 5 board members here to grant that status as a substitute for physics.
Not to my knowledge, but Mr. Stevens may know.
That is something the state has to grant. And we have been working with them to try to get clarification on how long that will take. There are multiple club sports. And, while I do sympathize with exactly what the coach was saying, that is something that we're going to have to get a little bit more clarification on at the state level because there are so many club sports in the state. We just can't grant phys ed credit for every club sport.
Well,
one could argue that because we have a growing county that, I would like to say, is in and around an area where there are, recognized, lacrosse as an official sport, not just a club. That might, maybe, I have no idea, could carry some weight. I don't know. I would love to see us try.
We are trying.
Yeah.
We are trying.
Yeah.
That is, again, there are other club sports that
Sure.
there would be a lot of coattails on that would pull other club sports in. Right now lacrosse is the one that's got the most momentum. So that's where that is so far.
Is there anything that we can do as a board to help push it along, get it over that finish line?
I will check to see
Okay.
if there's a way that we could send a letter from our board in support of that. To the Department of Education to see if that's something that they would consider.
Is it the WVSSAC or the Board of Education who grants this? You have to check on that. Okay.
Who grants what?
Well, the
Is it
WV.
that credit?
Yeah,
That's not the SSAC.
okay, I was
It's not
just
the
wondering.
SSAC. No.
All right. Well, I'm not gonna vote because it's not on the agenda, but I think there would be support for such a letter from the board. Okay, my final question, just a comment on the Office of Wellness Department of Child Nutrition. Where are you going to align this office? Would you comment on that?
Yes, the evaluation portion of this office, as I spoke to Ms. Setney, will be through our Pupil Services Department with Dr. Branch. She had an opportunity to meet with him on Friday. And I apologize, Ms. Setney, that was supposed to be Wednesday and I had to push that back to Friday. But I know that she and Dr. Schooley were able to speak with Dr. Branch about that on Friday.
So the direction of that department and in the chain of command, the staff will be underneath you.
She will fall directly under him as an evaluation, correct?
All right, now we're at a point now to vote upon the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have to declare the motion adopted unanimous.
Congratulations.
All right. Are there any board announcements? Board announcements. Martin.
Last Tuesday, I was at my committee assignment with the WVU Extension Service with our annual meeting. Went over the budget and the staff members with them and all the programs that the Extension Service does through WVU and our Tri-County 4-H camp, the youth fair, the partnership with WVU Medicine, and just how many programs are really intertwined in our community with so many organizations coming together and serving all of our students in the county. I forget the number off the top of my head, it's on my car, I meant to bring it in, but it's it's almost, depending on the program, it's almost every student's has been impacted by that program since they go in the schools and try to go in every classroom to discuss child nutrition and just healthy eating habits and many different other aspects, STEM programs, stuff like that. So it's nice to always hear from them and the upcoming levy and their needs, but we'll be in contact in 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Other announcements by members of the board?
I said one thing. I'm not sure if Steve will be talking about this or not, his announcements, but it's a reminder, the mock interviews, they're looking for volunteers to help with that. It's a great opportunity to help our young people learn how to interview, the things to say, the things not to say, how to dress, etc. Martinsburg High School, March 23rd, Hedgesville High, March 31st, Musman, April the 6th, and Spring Mills, April the 21st. You can contact those schools to volunteer.
Okay.
I wanted to say thank you to Mr. Stevens and Ms. Burkhart. We've been dealing with such a interesting set of circumstances the last few weeks, and the flexibility that we were able to show teachers and other faculty today in allowing them to have access from home for a little bit, just to get a little bit ahead, was very much appreciated. I know that several folks have reached out and wanted to extend their thanks. So again, thank you for helping us out on that.
And I'd like to comment that the social studies fair and the science fair was mentioned in the Friday's newsletter, and I know a lot of people put work in. I appreciate seeing the projects and the creativity that students exhibited in the subjects they investigated. Finally, I know Mr. Stevens has been on a drastic weight loss program last week. And we not by choice. Yeah, and we hope that the bug he had is nowhere near us now. But we're glad to see you back and appreciate the people who filled in and helped run the board office in your absence. Mr. Stevens, for announcements.
Well, first of all, thank you. And yes, it's been an eventful few weeks, literally a lot of events going on. You know, the team that we have that stepped up in my absence last week was fantastic. They continue to do above and beyond. Our entire group of employees across this county have gone above and beyond. You know, we hear about that at every turn. And I just can't say thank you enough. We can't show enough appreciation to you know, across the board, everyone. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of that. And Dr. Murphy, I'm sorry, Mr. Murphy, I am feeling much better today.
You were.
Freudian slip. So appreciate that. I would like to start out with remembering those who were awarded tonight. Our DSA Distinguished Service Person Cheryl Keller, our Volunteer of the Month, Gwen Knighton. They're wonderful people that help us out here in Berkeley County, and our presidential scholars, Declan, Kendall, and Billy. What an impressive group of young people. And you know, I get to see them throughout the community, and as wonderful as they were here tonight, they're even more wonderful when you see them out in the community interacting with other people. It's very impressive. Also want to say congratulations to all of our National Board Certified honorees tonight. Congratulations goes out. We had girls wrestling that took place a couple weeks ago. We had a number of girls that participated and did very well. Spring Mills Paige Jackson at the top of the podium on the left became a two-time state champion with her first place finish. So I just want to recognize Paige. Congratulations to her. Musselman's Abigail DeBerry, Journey Huggins, Carrington Bennett, Riley Wilson, Cicely Cullens. They're all pictured in there together. They all placed and did very well, along with Martinsburg's Kiera Gladden, who's on the right. They all placed at the state wrestling, the girls' state wrestling meet. So they did a fantastic job. Also, late to the game. Don't have a picture of these up there yet, but we do want to congratulate our swimmers. They had the state meet over the weekend, and Spring Mills girls actually had a 5th place finish in one of the medley relays. So I want to congratulate them on that. You mentioned the science and social studies fairs from before. We also have the regional science and engineering fair that took place. We had we had 13 intermediate and middle school students place first. High school results have not been reported yet, but they are coming soon. There's a state competition that'll be held in Charleston on March the sixth, 2023. So if anybody's going to be in Charleston on March the sixth, that's going to be a very interesting state competition. A lot of impressive people from around the state of West Virginia will be there, and Berkeley County will be well represented. So I just wanted to bring that up. You mentioned the social studies fair. So we did have more than 40 Berkeley County students move on in the county social studies fair with a first place finish. A list of those results are on a BCS website. I want to congratulate everybody that participated. It was very impressive. And wish all those that are moving on to the regionals much luck. Wednesday, February 22nd is School Bus Driver Appreciation Day. Don't forget to show your bus driver how much you appreciate them. School Bus Driver Appreciation Day coming up on Wednesday. That is in 2 days. Also, February is CTE month. That's Career and Technical Education Month. We want to recognize our great CTE programs. And if you can see the pictures, I know they're a little bit difficult, but if you take a look at those pictures, these are students who are learning to rebuild small engines, construct chicken coops. They're doing meat curing, and they're learning so much. This program will teach them skills that will make them future leaders in the agricultural industry with new and innovative ideas. CTE programs all together provide students with skills and knowledge to help them prepare for both college and their careers if they choose to go straight into the career. We're proud of the amazing work that they do and the accomplishments that they've been recognized for. Some dates to remember. I know that Mr. Wright mentioned some, but before the end of March, we've got the February 24th Regional History Bowl. It will be held at Spring Mills High School. We also have March the 2nd, Read Across America Day. And March the 10th will be the end of the third 9 weeks. It's hard to believe, but the end of the third 9 weeks is coming around. That's the middle of the second semester. Our next regular scheduled board meeting is scheduled for March the 6th. And it will be at 401 South Queen. That's all I had for today. Mr. Murphy.
You notice that we're getting into the chicken and eggs because the market is good nowadays.
That's what I hear, although a friend of mine got rid of his chickens.
And we ought to have a team from this board in the history competition and see how the high school kids look at that. Do I have a motion to adjourn? We're not finished. What did I do?
I could criticize you.
No, you would never do that. What did I forget? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't turn the page. Discussion on the superintendent search. Ms. Long?
I just wanted to,
say a few things, and I don't know if Elaine has this information on her because she and Dr. Schooley did most of this work, but all of this work, quite frankly. Elaine, I don't know if you want to come down and give this report, or if you want me to report where the advertisements. I've got it in front of me. Yeah, I mean, it's your report. I don't want to take your thunder.
Okay, so in relative to the superintendent search, advertisements have been placed in the Journal, the Herald Mail, the Loudoun Times Mirror, Frederick News Post, Winchester Star, Northern Virginia Daily, Charleston Gazette, Herald Dispatch, and the Dominion Post, as well as a press release to all of the West Virginia Press Association newspapers. So that's a pretty extensive list as well. In addition, there are some online job boards that were included with those purchases, with those advertisements. We've also placed advertisements on several education job boards such as EdWeek, the American Association of School Personnel Association, School Superintendent Association, the Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents, the National Alliance of Black School Educators. We've also placed targeted ads for superintendents and assistant superintendents through the LinkedIn platform. We also did a direct message to 3,632 K-12 prospects. That would be superintendents and assistant superintendents in about 6 states surrounding West Virginia. We have also placed the superintendent survey to our BCS community 2 times via In Touch, 1 time through the Chamber of Commerce, 1 time to the Business Education Partnership, 1 time to the All Peach Jar accounts, and 2 times through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I believe that covers all activities that we completed.
I just want to also say,
And an email from our board president and vice president to all board presidents, vice presidents, and current sitting superintendents in West Virginia.
I want to thank Dr. Schooley and Elaine Tobogo again for all the hard work that they have put into this. And we have the a website, a superintendent search website, and we also have a stakeholder survey online, and
It's that closed at 4 o'clock yesterday.
oh, okay, I thought it was through the 19th.
Closed yesterday.
Oh, was it?
Today's the 20th.
Okay, let's try this again. The deadline for the position is March 6th, and we will get the stakeholder results survey. Well, we'll get the applications and the survey results by March 6th. The job and the posting ended March 3rd, so we'll end March 3rd. The board members will get the packets on March 6th, week of March 6th.
So we do have one more activity that we're going to complete this week. I alluded to the 3,600 approximate email addresses. We are able to analyze that data, and we're going to pull it apart in 2 different groups. Ones that have clicked on it. Apparently they showed some interest in it, and the others that didn't. So we're going to send some targeted messages based upon their activity, whether they clicked or didn't click on the link. So that'll be this week.
Very much.
Mr. Stevens?
Yeah, I would go home and feel awful if I didn't give a shout out to the MHS tech team that's working here tonight. Number of students have given the day to be able to stay here and help us. So that's fantastic. Thank you, guys.
One last thing, Mr. Murphy.
Yes, Ms. Power?
Ms. Long and I have each looked at the principal surveys and reviewed them. And I believe that we would be prepared, based on you can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that we would be prepared to provide that information at our next board meeting for review and discussion.
Well, what we had decided to do and voted to do was combine your results, and my results, and pass them out to the board and the superintendent.
Yes.
Yes, we're not going to discuss them.
We're not going to discuss, but we'll review them.
Okay, are there further matters there? Mr. Rowe?
I guess I had a question regarding the superintendent search. I know the survey closed yesterday, but have we, has anybody seen any type of the number of responses? Does it seem like we're getting any significant community responses from the one that went to the Berkeley County's?
I'll be honest with you, I received the data. I did not open it and look
Okay.
at it. other than to know that there were 1,291 responses.
That's what I was like, that's good, okay.
But I can't tell you what percentage
Oh.
was what stakeholder group.
Oh,
And it was just passed to one, to a third party who's gonna analyze it and provide it back.
okay,
Is that right, Zoe?
thank you.
Any more last gasps here before we adjourn? All those in favor of motion to adjourn? Mr. Martin moves,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Power. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Declare the motion passed. Wow, 8:20. Thank you all for this